Okay, it is 6:17 on this September 3rd, 2024. I'm officially calling this special meeting to order. As we do with all meetings, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Even though the screen says the moment of silence, we'll skip that as it is a special meeting and we just typically do it at the regulars. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Outstanding. With the special meeting called last week, our clerk was not available tonight, so she'll have the audio recording of this meeting. So if it seems like I'm doing things for the purpose of audio, that is because I'm doing things for the purpose of audio. Roll call. Mayor Allen, I am present. Deputy Mayor Ryan. Here. Trustee Shutting. Here. Trustee Walry. Here. Trustee Sauer. Here. Trustee Hanselman is not here yet. We'll note when he does arrive, and the same with Trustee Alter, who is coming late. Just briefly, this is kind of the agenda I have for tonight. I want to put it out there, and just like we do on all of our other documents, this will go online, so this will work for our agenda. I have some quick updates on the New York Forward Village proposals, not the overall 27 proposals that the group is deciding, but just the village's proposals. We're also going to review the updated SLR proposal on the future Monument Park, and I expect to have a copiously important and long discussion about the Municipal Building Improvement Project versus the Murphy Building Acquisition Improvement Project. We also have worked to put together a departmental capital project priorities list. This is something that I know we have been talking about for many months, and now that we're getting out of the PFOA region and have some free time to do better long-term planning, we have gotten a good list from all of our department heads on some of the priorities that we are looking at that would be, in a sense, outside of what our normal budget can handle. And of course, that discussion works great with the fact that we also are going to be discussing the possible planning. Hey, Deb. We'll be discussing this in regards to possible spending for the 3M class action settlement monies, and again, that we're expecting it to be a little over $3 million, broken out over 3 years. We have not gotten the first payment yet, nor do we know when the first payment is coming, outside of the fact that we're expecting it sometime before the calendar year ends. So that's just where we're at, and then we'll have a brief executive session at the end, as the agenda says, to discuss a public safety / law enforcement matter. Okay. So, I have a few updates on the projects. I don't have any updated details in terms of what I'm changing for proposals. I'm going to try to do that this evening and get that to the New York Forward people so it is represented at Monday, September 9th's importance and big community meeting where people will get a chance to look over a lot of the presentations and a lot of what the proposals are. And give feedback. That's the whole point, is to really hear from the community on that, on all of these projects. The village, we put forward 6 specific projects, plus we combined with Marianne and Hoosick Rising for a 7th. I'm just going to talk about those 6 with Marianne. If you do want to share any updates on the 7th one, that's totally fine. I don't have it on the agenda, but when we get there, feel free to speak out. So first off, one of the big changes for Monument Park is that we have worked to adjust the Yeah, sure.
The streetway isn't up there.
That's on the next slide.
Oh,
I have another slide. Yeah. And I can just go through these quickly, or if you want to stop and ask me questions, that's totally fine. This is a discussion. The bridge expense, which was the proposal of having a bridge go from what's going to be the Monument Park, which we'll be renaming at the former Oakland site, over to the Greenway. We're removing that portion from the Greenway project, and we're putting that into the Monument Park project. The other nice information is I was able to get some really good information from a couple companies who were involved in a bridge at the Rensselaer Plateau, which I think Marianne was the one who sent that to me. That was brilliant. The cost for that project is a lot less than I was thinking it was going to be, which is great news. The only challenge is going to be the side of the bridge that's on the Greenway. Someone's going to have to design that and spec it out and run it through Army Corps and get their approval. But apart from that, That's it.
To the railroad.
And the installation is not hard. In fact, the installation that they ended up doing cost a lot more because it was back in the woods and they had to bring all the parts together. But that ended up being wonderful. So thank you, Marion, for that link. So we'll come back to Monument Park, but what we have is an updated proposal to do a sort of a quicker, shorter version of getting a 15% design, because we have already heard from the public on what they would like to see there and what they would not like to see there. We just want to make sure this moves expeditiously, especially in terms of the New York Forward overall project. The Hoosick River Greenway project is unchanged except for the removal of the bridge, so we'll have different money figures to present there.
Did you change the putting stone?
That was removed at the very end, so my understanding is that that was removed from the final proposal, but they didn't know that.
Okay.
In fact, since we're doing this right now, you can view all of these on the Village of Hoosick Falls website by clicking the Villages application portion, and here are the 6 proposals as we put them out. When I have the updated proposals in the hands of New York Forward, I will also post them here. Where am I going here? Greenway. So we had talked about changing the Greenway surface itself to stone along the 3/4 mile stretch, this whole stretch along here. But we ended up realizing that, first off, that was a fairly substantial expense. Secondly, it was going to require a lot of Army Corps work and approval. And third, it's grass now. It's not a problem. It works fine. It functions fine. It was kind of an extra, and we didn't feel like that extra was necessary. So I think if I did the proposal right, I took that portion out. I just want to check. Existing condition. Let me go down. I'm sorry about the scrolling. I know that can be visually disruptive. Spiral.
Fresh
Beautification. Yes, it is not in there. It was a last minute deletion. So it is not. And if I go down to the cost, it's not in there. So this footbridge, first off, this number is way too high, which is great.
That's crazy.
That is going to be removed and moved over to the Monument Park project. Everything else is going to stay the same. So this actually will be a significantly lower project
So if it's
cost.
575, you're taking out 355, you're talking 220.
Yeah. The only thing I have
Yeah,
to
less than half
follow
now.
up on
Yeah.
is
Wait, 220, doesn't that go in small projects?
no,
No.
it's just higher.
Oh.
I have to follow up on the Church Street Bridge water letting project, and I just want to get a little bit more flushed out estimates on that. I had some good conversations with the person. I forget her name off the top of my head, but they've done this before. These were estimates, but they weren't like an official quote. I just feel more comfortable having an official quote.
The art mural was originally gonna be done by the school.
Was it?
That's what
No.
Paula said. Paula came up and right from the very beginning.
Well,
I
first of
remember
all,
that.
you got insurance issues getting, I mean, they could
I'm
come up
just
with
telling you
different
what she
design.
said. So-
Okay,
No, I-
having been an art teacher, I can tell you that if it's not careful, you can't just send a bunch of high school kids over there and say,
It needs to be
paint
supervised.
it. It has to be very super,
They may
very
be doing it
supervised.
anyway.
No,
For
listen,
graffiti.
I'm gonna finish. That it has to be super, I'm sorry. Thank you, it has to be super supervised.
Use that one for
There has to be a way to do it where it's fair for all kids. I mean, you can't just walk into a school and say, do this. Also, art teachers have curricula, right? So they can't just stop everything and do a fun project.
I thought
And I know that because I did that for 20-something years.
I thought art
Okay?
teachers were about freedom.
No, well, yes, but, no, we don't, that's another story. The
Right.
point is, you can't just say, oh, we'll have the kids do it.
Yes.
Also, you're gonna put kids hanging on strings from the wall to paint?
So I spoke to Shelley, who actually got the estimate, after I spoke to Paula, who didn't actually get the estimate. And Shelley actually went
Shelley is
to
who?
Shelley Stiles?
Shelley Stiles. She does a lot of, well, she's one of the ones who made the Greenway happen in the first place.
Yeah, her and Paul are like
Yeah.
the two long-standing.
Yeah. So Shelley went to a website of art mural kind of website where she actually went in and asked for an estimate. She measured the wall and she went into this artist mural website, not an individual, it's like a group. I don't know what it's called, she doesn't remember what it's called. She might be able to find the original document, but that's how she did it.
Okay, the real way that murals are done, I mean, I guess you could go to a website, but when you want a real mural, like a wow mural, you ask, you put out a call for entries. And different artists send in sketches and ideas. Of course, we'd have to have a theme and the community would just decide what that is. But, and please don't let it be Walter A. Wood, we're over Walter A. Wood. And no Grandma Morses, but that's my opinion. Anyway,
Well, we have some of both, so we don't need more.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you
So,
for being diplomatic. But anyway, and then what you do is whoever the committee is, or the board, or whatever, they decide, they look at all the entries, and they
That's
do it.
fair.
That's the way it's done.
Yeah.
There's
That's the
also-
professional way to do it.
There's also more money available for art murals, it's minimal, but both the artist can apply for up to $5,000 and the municipality can apply for up to $5,000. So,
Well, there's a lot more, that's decentralization grants, that comes through the Regional Arts Council.
yes, the
But
regional
we,
art,
and I think we should ask them, about Red Sea money, there's a lot of art money in the Regional Economic Development Council through NISTA. It can be $200,000. So if we can get any of that art money out of here, from that funding source, the other money is decentralization to private, so it's not much at all.
right, they're small funds.
So if we take it out, if we get it from there, you wouldn't have to use it from here,
That's what I'm
correct?
saying, and we
Okay.
should ask them about NISCA money that comes through the, it's called Red Sea.
What's NISCA stand
New York
for?
State Council of the Arts,
Okay.
who's whopping
I would
increase.
know.
And you know about those grants, you know about those grants, no? New York State, no,
Look
Jane.
it up.
Red what
I've
money?
looked them at
Red
one
Sea,
time.
that's the name of
Not
the
recently.
Regional
I
Economic
moved to
Development
Texas,
Council.
Okay.
It comes through the same source, but it's separate for just art projects.
Okay.
It has to be
Um,
approved by NISCA.
Okay.
But
That's-
I would say if we can move anything out there,
Yep. That would be great.
let's
What
use
about
them to
doing
find
like
those
an
other
ongoing
funding
contest?
sources like
Yes.
they told
You
the
know,
state.
have
That's
it
a
every
great
2
idea.
years, have an ongoing contest as a way to
It's
get some
huge.
attention.
It's massive, once it's done, it's gonna be.
It's
done.
not, it's,
Really
what,
that
you're talking about the mural? No,
Yeah.
you don't wanna do a contest.
Wow.
Where are you
It's,
talking the
um,
mural
it's
anyway?
Okay.
You're talking
Yeah.
the flood wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
How, the whole stretch of it?
It depends on the
Depends.
artist. I mean, what we figured it
Depends
with
what they
that
do. It
grant
could be-
was
There's so many different kinds, I mean,
As-
to eat,
Seriously.
that's a
I
max.
can't
That's
believe, we
like
should have
the
had a
whole
preliminary
thing.
discussion about this, really.
This is
What's that, Deb?
the mural runs from here all
Wow.
the way
Huge.
down
Oh,
to
wow,
about here.
that's huge.
Let me go, but we
That's
don't have to do all
There's
of that.
so many different ways we can do it, before we
Uh,
hire an artist and say, this is what
Wouldn't
we
it be
want.
nice
Right,
to have multiple
right.
artists
But-
do
I think
it?
we're talking about somebody from in charge of
What
this.
if-
But
what
we
if-
don't have to have this made now.
No,
This
no.
is just
But
the
see how
money
it's
for the
set
And
up?
you're
project.
talking the
What
the
if it's
outside
different?
walkway as well,
See,
you're
the
talking.
trainers
We're
You're
talking
talking the
just
outside.
this side.
You're not
Oh.
talking you're not, okay, so you're
Not
not
the
talking
other
about,
side.
Oh, no,
We're
no.
talking about
How much it was gonna
just
cost to
this side.
insure someone.
but
to
that's
paint.
when you said about hanging over, I'm
Oh, I
thinking,
That's
thought they were
what
doing
I-
the one across.
To be honest, if most
Well,
of it
you'd
was
see it
just
from-
painted, it would look a
No,
lot
it's the
better.
roadside. so
It's-
that
it's
you
Yeah,
don't-
but
road.
it's concrete.
I
Okay,
think
so
the
take that
issue-
piece out, but everything else I said was
I
true.
think the
Oh,
concern's gonna be
nobody's-
how do you protect it against
I'm not
graffiti?
questioning, that's for sure, Deb.
And that question of how do we protect it, I think is gonna be a huge part to where we decide to put it.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is when we are looking to get that plot of land through Okwitsui, that means we have a spot where we can set up security cameras now, which we really haven't had access to before. So to that point,
Also, I would, in my experience, it is less likely to get defaced, that wall is less likely to get defaced if there's art on it than if there isn't.
yes, and lighting, a couple lights over there.
Well, lighting
too.
always, but-
So that's kind of the Greenway project update. Just kind of removing the bridge, the number will be much lower. The municipal building improvement project at this point remains unchanged, but we have to have further discussion on that, and I'll have some slides up on the board when we discuss the potential of the municipal building improvement versus the Murphy building improvement. So that is coming later, but I don't have any huge updates right now. The one big thing is I officially asked New York Forward to remove the Woodsbrook Hall Street Spring Street project entirely. I got to meet with the board in pairs. I went back to SLR and tried to get it to be just Hall Street and to get the number down, and it still was too much. It was too major of a project, and in light of everything else that we're proposing and the fact that we know that there's way too many projects and too big of an ask, we just wanted that scratched off. So Hall Street, Spring Street is removed.
I wanna say that that's good because probably we can get other grants for that.
Yes.
Since we have, but also it's almost downtown, but it's not really downtown. And I personally, do you need us? Or are you just hanging out? Okay, you can hang out, you can come in here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm naive, but this seems to me to be a downtown development grant. So the more we start getting away from that downtown, the less likely it's to get approved, but also the less likely it is to help develop downtown.
Yeah.
So, there's that. But also, there's something else I was gonna say, actually. I don't remember.
We were
Oh,
thinking.
the other thing is if we're too spread out, it's not gonna make any impact. We got a thing over here, and a thing over there, and a thing over there.
The one thing
It's
I
not
will
gonna do
say-
anything for downtown.
When the new Stewart's is online, that road is going to become much more important, because that's an important channel to get across the street and walk over there that way. Otherwise, you're coming from kind of where the old Stewart's location is. So I could see an increased usage of that. But the fact of the
much?
matter is, we own the property. We could just decide over the summer to have our guy go with an excavator and make some changes. We would have to go through DEZ permitting and get approval and figure out what times we could do it. But we ourselves could probably do a fair amount of removing what's there, resetting the grade with some of the dirt that exists already, get permission for whatever we need to dig out. The really only big question becomes if we remove part of Hall Street to sunlight and remove that one small culvert that goes under Hall Street, but it's not a major thing.
So we're not gonna deal with it
So we're
right
just
now.
we're
let's move
taking
on.
this out and we'll pursue it through another
Let's
avenue.
move on.
Yeah.
I just wanna say my thing about downtown.
And I
because-
guess once you get to that, I can give you a suggestion, but I had already thought, the soil and water department that has their spring,
But
native shrubs and
Like
trees
this
sale, I mean, you might even be able to work with them to give you that stuff and do
Yep.
those plantings yourself.
It would not be hard to set up a little mini park on our own.
Right, we can,
It's just not. It
it's
wouldn't
no
be that big
value
of a
add
deal.
as far as I'm concerned, it's not money well spent.
Yeah.
Cause it's a very little utilized
Yeah.
avenue.
Now this is the old version. These 3 buildings are gone. These 2 buildings are gone. If I go into Street View, I don't know why it decides that I should be looking straight down at the road every time I hop into this. It is the weirdest thing. Oh, Street View's old.
That
Well, that was a
certainly is,
surprise.
because that's Walter Robertson's old house.
Zoom out. What is happening?
Good for you.
That's Walter.
There we go.
There we
Okay,
go.
sorry.
wait, if we're,
So we have local control. We can make changes here. The really only question is the culvert that runs right here.
Yep.
If we make this take this part of the road out, there's a larger conversation about how to make that work the best.
Cause it's
and
really
what's the
not
work.
a culvert per se, it's, right,
It's a big old pipe there.
Right, but it's like 4 foot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not terrible. If there's going to be another major storm and a major flood, the work that we've done here has removed a lot of the
Oh,
bottleneck.
yeah,
how
I'm
many
not,
parks
I'm
are
not worried
going on
about the
14 Church Street?
6.
yes.
Where's
6?
oh right
So
here?
if you need parking, they're gonna
Is
need
that
parking.
back on?
yeah.
Well, that
Got it.
that could tie into
Good.
the fact that we own the property next to it, and could very easily look up to a future project of making this area a parking lot. And I'm sure there's a way that as a municipality we could enter into an agreement to share costs and allow for a certain amount of parking. But we own this property from this edge right here down to about right there.
Right for Damien's, right?
Yeah, and we got this as part of the Woodsbrook plan.
Do we wanna, we can't sell it, right?
There's restrictions on what you can do and what you can sell it for. Like no one can build a new house here. Like that is part of the deal from
I
the
don't think
grant.
anybody wants to.
But this is a nice park, and this would be a great community parking lot.
I know, but what I'm,
It would work for them. It would work for some of our local. We have Unihog back here, the youth center right here. They need parking in this spot.
Yep.
It'd be a great spot to put it.
I was gonna say, if you could sell a chunk of it to the guy who owns that building now.
I'd rather see us go combine into
Okay.
putting in a parking lot.
There's also
there.
parking behind that too.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
but some of that land is a little weird because of the culvert, a little
Right.
questionable, but yeah. So anyway, I'll keep going back to the map as I need to here. So Woodsbrook is completely removed. I'm hoping that they handle that properly. So the pedestrian infrastructure improvements, I'm reorganizing the way the information is presented, and I haven't finished it yet. I was hoping to do it tonight. I had broken it down. I'm going to jump to the proposal for just a moment, so I'm apologizing for this when I find it. Here we go. Pedestrian infrastructure improvement. I'm going to scroll down a lot to. I had set it up as to kind of 5 thematic things: improve lighting, improve sidewalks, crosswalk at this location, improve blue parking designs, possible storm drain expansion. All of this stuff is staying there. I'm reorganizing it into project locations because as we dove deeper into this, we discovered it made a lot more sense. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation for a minute. Whoop, wrong way. The John Street run from the corner of Hoosick Provisions down to basically the Woodsbrook culvert right before you get to the sandbar. We're going to redo the entire sidewalk. Part of that is going to be putting in the light fixture footings and the electric light ports so that the new light posts that we're getting in the various parts of the village will go there. When I originally priced it out, we got the price for putting in the new light posts, but we did not realize that that assumed that there were light fixture footings and light ports already there. So this project cost will go up a little bit higher.
Right.
But I'm going to break down the costs by locations. The second project, Lower Classic Street, this is on the south side, so this is on the woodblock side. We want to redo most of the sidewalk. There's a couple spots. There's like a basement access to the woodblock, and there's some other access that we'll probably have to work with the woodblock on how that would work, and especially if there's also a project's approval there. So there's some definite good synergy possibilities there. But we also want to put lighting in, but we think that the new lighting would actually work better on the existing sidewalk side across the street, but you know, we can make that decision later. And new light posts. I'm just gonna.
Sounds logical.
Yeah, let me just jump to that visual for just a moment, because it helps to see where I'm talking.
So you're saying put the poles on the opposite side they are now?
There's one pole on that side.
Yeah,
That's the side that I'm talking about.
I know it well.
Yes. So we want to put the lights on the same side as that, but we want to.
Just up the street.
Yeah. So there's a light post right here. It's a hot mess.
That's amazing. Isn't it?
We want to put 3 or 4 light fixtures along here and replace that one.
Oh, good. I
But
thought
this is the sidewalk we want to redo. Yeah. Yeah.
We have a
No.
big problem on Lower Classic.
We've got a few problems on Lower Classic.
No, but we're gonna still have a problem, even if we do all of this.
Okay.
And that is that there's no place for anybody to put the big trash cans. They're
Yes.
all sitting out in the street, and it looks like crap.
Yes. It just the
trash.
the closest
Right?
is
Literally.
this spot right here.
It looks like trash.
And that's where they go.
But
And
even
people
then,
all the way up, they're gonna
it's
bring their trash down there?
Ugh.
I
I don't know. We have
we
to.
have to work, I mean, it's something we have to
What do you mean the
figure out.
people all the way up, Deb? What are you talking about?
The people all the way up the street who are
Williamson's
gonna,
building.
in the Williamson building,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah,
and
right.
Salute.
That's what they do now.
They walk all the way,
Those are their garbage cans.
Yeah.
That's whose garbage cans
The
those are.
sidewalk is
Oh.
really for trash.
Those garbage
yeah,
cans
no,
there.
there is no place to put those.
Yeah.
No, understood. But the ones on the right-hand side in that little covey are the ones from the old Sluzzo's Grill block.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
That's
so they
what
already
I'm
walk halfway down the street to put their trash.
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
Well, we could just put them all in front of the
Not that it
woodblock,
looks
right?
good, Deb. Not that it looks good at all. I agree 100% with you. It looks
And then
like
we have to
crap.
build some kind of.
So this was interesting because there's a couple issues here, and I know that one of the owners brought up the fact that a lot of these roof drains don't actually exist properly or function.
Well,
Yeah.
even that one, it drains to the sidewalk.
No,
you see.
and that's the problem.
Yeah,
That's where,
yeah.
Yeah,
that's where,
it's terrible.
It
that's
drains
what
to the sidewalk.
Janet's complaint was, that that's where, and Kenny said, that's because all the building store drains run down and that's where the water.
That's a code issue.
So that's
Absolutely
that
is,
is a
but you can't.
code issue. And honestly, if you look closely, I don't know if I have it if it's pictured here, but one of them like drains onto. I think it's this one. I think there's a drain right
That's Janet's building.
right above one. No, it's not that one. It's this one. There's a drain, so, I don't know, there's something where like
Above
basically
and
just rains
around.
down right onto the electric
Right there.
lines.
Oh, yeah, I know which
Oh,
one you're
right
talking
there,
about.
the corner of that white building is not even.
See, there's no spout at the
Yeah.
bottom, there's a spout, but there's no,
And
no drain.
When it was Kenny and I took about an hour looking over this stuff, and this was the coolest and kind of the funniest thing. The lady who lives here came out and chatted for us for a bit.
Mrs.
Notice how
So
this
nice.
she
Mrs.
is
DiMaggio,
awesome. You
yeah.
see how the sidewalk is higher?
Mm.
She remembers when Don Bigardis insisted that they fix just this part of the sidewalk, and that's why that part of the sidewalk is in better condition than the rest.
Well, he did a lot of great things, didn't
Infrastructure, you know.
he? Nah,
But-
let's just leave it for the next guy.
The one when we were looking
Except for
over
a
this spot here is closer. This spot here is
Kendall.
we
Just the
have
man
to
I needed
work
to
more
talk to.
closely with the wood block on this. It doesn't really work the way it is now, but we also are not fully cognizant of what you guys are hoping to put here. But we want to make sure that we're budgeting for a sidewalk replacement here. So
That is being described and drawn on the architect's plans right now as an open plaza, a paved,
okay,
like stone paved plaza.
okay,
Sweet.
So it would be leveled and made so a public place, there'll be a mural on that north wall.
okay.
How do you get rid of those electrical?
So imagine all that crap is gone.
You know what this is here,
National
right?
Grid has been called.
It's
Okay.
telephone,
Do you see that little dot right there above the mouse?
No, yes, I do.
That's the light sensor.
No,
So they set up, in their infinite wisdom, in this spot, in between all the buildings, facing the wrong direction, a light sensor. That's
For-
why,
for how many lights?
Across the street?
and it controls this light and a couple other lights in the area. It's the dumbest thing, but
I had
not.
no idea.
Well, they put it in a
Have
cubby.
you guys talked to
It'd be
them?
never, it'd never be on, I thought they were on the, on the top.
Sign the floodlight,
They're gonna
the
give it?
ambulances at them and turn them off. We said that before. We used, it was fun, we'd hit them and they go blink, blink, blink,
Yep.
and turn
So
off.
They have an eye at the top.
Yes,
So yeah, that's, Kenny was telling me that's what that little eye thing is right there.
So
It's
you
not
s-
even on the top, it's on the side.
You spoke with National Grid, you said?
We have had, when the village had National Grid out here,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Russo, who's doing a lot of volunteer work for us, very kindly found the person who seemed to be in charge of what was going on. Turns out he was actually the designer of all the work that was going on this past
Oh.
spring.
Okay.
Okay.
And he came over and he looked at the post and he said, yeah, you're right, this really should be underground. And the idea would be that the power source would be in the parking lot next to Saluzzo building.
Okay.
Oh.
Because that's where the 300 amp, 3 amp,
Like there's
whatever
room
that
for that.
major,
Yeah.
there's 3 giant cans on top of a pole next to Mike Williamson's Saluzzo building.
This one right here?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and that and all the power that would go into Woodblock could all be put in one thing,
That would make
Would be-
so much
would be
sense.
so much handsomer.
Oh yeah.
And isn't there another one by you, by Woodblock? That's crazy?
Well, there's
That
that one
goes-
right there,
That one.
which is,
Oh, yeah, I can't see.
Let me get to a better spot to
Yeah,
see
you get a
that.
better
I can't see the
angle.
top. It's alright, you're making me.
It's done, there it is, it's
There,
right
there you
there.
go. You can look now.
and if you look at that pole
Two
from
transformers.
on the 3rd floor, I can't even believe it's standing, it's
Yeah.
so badly rotten.
Oh god.
I don't know how long
Look
it's
at all
been
the
there, since electricity came into the village, probably.
It's another Don Bogart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they've been spoken
Oh, there's
to,
one
and
on
we're
that.
working on what paperwork do we have
That's
to
metal.
file now, kind of thing, so.
Okay.
There
So
used to
we're
be
also
one down
targeting
the
this.
lower-
I
lower
had
end.
wanted to
One of
expand
those
the
metal
width of
poles.
this sidewalk,
Which one's?
Oh, this one.
in particular
Yes.
down here where it gets
Yeah.
narrower.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is, if we expand into Classic Street, you lose the ability to park on both sides of Classic. And even though I think that will look nicer, that's gonna make a new problem that I don't wanna create.
Yeah, but the reality is, and we walk that all the time,
Mhm.
nobody's gonna walk with the garbage cans there.
Oh, that's
It's really not a
absolutely
sidewalk,
the case.
it's a place where you put your garbage cans. So I
Yeah,
don't think expanding it is gonna cause people to wanna walk there, they cross the street and walk by it.
there's gotta be a better way to do the garbage cans.
Not unless you went over across the street and
Well, you walk on the other side.
created something,
Right.
that's what everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to walk. People already walk on the other side.
They still hold them.
It's a garbage can walk.
You just-
Right.
Yeah, our hope was that we could make this deeper and stick out more so that it would be less of a garbage can walk, but.
No, it's still.
I mean,
it's
it's still
still-
gonna
it's
be
still a
strolling next to
Looks like
garbage.
New York City,
She
yeah.
knows what's her name? Ann. Sharon?
But each building is
She's always nice to me.
individually owned and
Yep.
all of those buildings have people living in them where
Yep.
So I'm not sure there's anything you're ever gonna
There's
do.
no
No, I don't think
resolution,
so.
no.
There's always gonna be
Oh, Jesus
individual
Christ.
residential garbage, and there's always gonna be people needing a parking space.
Yeah.
It's too bad. She's
So,
nice, she's pretty.
let me go back to the presentation for a minute. So that was Lower Classic. Railroad Avenue, this is a complicated one, and I'm gonna do some map moving, so, if those of you who get car sick, look away for a moment.
I'm gonna jump out of a plane.
Okay,
That won't make me.
so here we go for a minute. So here is, technically speaking, Railroad Avenue until it gets become Lyman or something like that. It's one of those like spots that nothing ever makes sense.
It's all of those things.
This road is very, very narrow. You can barely fit one vehicle with a plow on it, let alone two vehicles, and yet both directions work. From this end, this area has parking. They're probably not supposed to be parking on the railroad property,
railroad
but that's
property,
not our
right.
business. They have some parking back here, but they need to be able to come into this way and out of this way. The same exists for this group of houses right here. They're gonna either wanna come up and park this direction. In fact, that's kind of the way the driveway works. So we were trying to toy with the idea of making this a one-way and having a lane, a walking lane built in. We couldn't find a way to do that. So it really is about taking electric from, I think it's this pole or this pole, and trying to get someone to add a couple lights
Additional
along
lights.
this way to light it up. There's not really much else we can do in this corridor, which is super
You
unfortunate.
can't make it one way, you're saying?
We could make it one way, but then if we make it running north, these people
Go the
can't
other- go the
turn
other
in
way then.
here.
Go the other way.
What's that?
Go towards Unihog.
No, I mean if they're moving north, they are gonna have to come in from the south to drive in, and then they're gonna have to back into their parking lot.
But I think that's the one street here that's really a public safety issue.
Oh, I agree, it's a
So
public
I
safety
don't
issue.
think can inconvenience a couple houses versus
Or
wait for somebody to get in.
very little traffic.
very little traffic.
Not,
Oh,
not
no,
foot
it doesn't.
traffic though.
No, it gets
It's
a lot of foot traffic.
It's a lot of foot traffic,
traffic,
but
but-
And
minimal.
all it takes is one car.
The only thing I can think of beside that is to literally say no cars past this point,
That's a good idea.
and no cars past this point,
That
and you
works.
make
That's
it
fine.
just a walking
Yeah, why
way.
not? There's plenty of other
That's
ways
the
to get there.
only way I can think
Yeah,
that
why
would
not?
work
Plenty of other
out.
ways to get there, yeah.
So
that's
you
a good
just
idea.
then you just narrow the road down to a
It's a
only
walking path.
walkway.
Yeah,
So
Nice.
that, as a municipality, we could certainly make that decision
Yeah,
to look
I
into
think
that
that
and do
works.
that. And honestly, it's gonna, oh no, I'm sorry, this house, no, this house? No, it's this
Wait.
house.
No, that house.
This house here also has a driveway and a vehicle. This is an older picture, but I'm pretty confident that someone does
Yeah,
live
they
there
do.
right now. So this location here would need access.
Ugh. Yeah,
Unless there's another way we could get them
Can you do,
access,
like,
but I just don't know it.
get
Can
rid
we
of
get
the
rid of the
house.
junk car?
Get rid of the house.
as I say, the trash cans, that's all.
Well, no, I think someone does live there right now, so like that's kind of where we're stuck with this.
Well, if you
Use
go,
this
if you
to
go
go
up to
find
that
junk
house,
cars.
right?
You're missing a lot of the stuff that's
The
there. An
railroad
old trailer, a
starts it.
boat, and everything
Yeah.
else is in that yard.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
on
not
the
supposed to be a trailer
Oh, it's
or a boat in the yard.
If it's registered.
If it's
it can.
registered.
Some of that is
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
no, I think there's a thing about it, no,
So anyway,
That's
this street needs to be discussed further, and we
Campers.
need, as a municipality, to
Camper or
come up with a
trailer?
plan
no.
that will work
Well, you can't
with
put
this.
trailers, I know that, but
So
Oh, the big
I would
ones.
encourage you guys to drive down this road a couple times.
Yeah.
If anyone lives nearby and they see my van driving back and forth for like a half hour, sorry, I wasn't creeping.
That's
I mean, I was
stalking.
creeping, but not at your place, trying to figure out how the road was.
Yeah,
gonna
and
work.
actually, that view right there, the brush right now is hanging out over the street too.
Yes.
I gotta get Kenny
Yes.
to take care of that.
And this light post right here is important because I think that's the only way we can draw power. So whoever gets the job is gonna have to grab the power from here, run it underground, and put a couple lights. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's one right here.
When you say whoever gets the job, you mean the contractor from
The con-
RTE, or are you asking? Or
No, because we're
not
gonna
gonna
someone.
include this in RTE.
We're gonna need, no, RTE is gonna provide the light posts. We need to provide them the fixtures with the electric
Okay.
connected.
Okay.
So there's
Robert,
a line right here.
We could stop at that other house that we just said and just make that,
Do not, walking
Yeah.
only.
cause
Yep.
that's the one that's up against the railroad too.
Yep.
I love the idea of.
So
all
would they
walking
want
lanes.
access, so they would want to access it from this way? From
Yeah.
coming up here and they would stop here,
Yeah.
and from this point on, it's a no cars allowed type thing. And then we would have the same thing, right, here,
It makes sense.
so that people could pull in, but then no cars
That's it.
past this point.
And they can still back out and be able to turn
Yeah.
around to get out of there.
That's the I've racked my brain for weeks on how to make this work, and that's the only thing I can that makes sense.
Can you put up a nice fence where one of those pedestrian fences where, you know, you have to walk around?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, like a.
or
like-
something.
I think
Like
that's
a
the only way you
barricade.
can do it,
narrows
be
the
safe,
lane.
Marion, could prevent any cars from
Yeah, but-
going on.
Yeah, throwing up a couple of signs just sounds.
No, right, you gotta have something, a barrier there.
Yeah, we were just like at a RV camp and they said like no golf carts beyond this point, and they put in like actual barriers.
Yep.
So like the bars
That
where
will
you
do it.
can't.
Yep.
So
you
it won't
can't
fit
drive
through, right, we
Exactly.
need that, you
Yeah.
gotta make it idiot proof,
And-
cause somebody's gonna
Yeah.
get killed if you don't.
We do have to look at the possibility of maintaining a turnaround portion somewhere. So
Right.
there's things that we have to look into.
Almost like.
But if someone drives down there, we have to keep a do not
Just don't
park
run
here,
into it.
turn around spot or something
Yeah.
like that. So anyway, that's that was the lower that was the
hit it on
road
my
avenue.
bike.
So this
We'll have to
fourth
light it up.
one, I need to do a little bit more work on, but this is actually not our original proposal. This was a proposal that was put
Wait,
forth.
one second.
Yeah, sure.
That spot where we wanna put the no cars past this point,
Yes, right here.
is that right next to pizza shop?
No,
No.
no,
No,
It's
that's a different
close. The
street.
pizza shop's over there.
Oh, okay.
We're on
I
this
got turned
side.
around, cause it was,
No, that's fine.
but,
That's
yeah,
fine.
cause this is the, yeah, okay.
that's got nothing to do with the pizza shop, that
Yep.
road.
You know, I
It's
just
close,
think,
but-
okay, cause I know that.
It's the other railroad avenue.
It's the one that may or may not be
Well,
Sudan
we
slash.
could
Sudan,
turn into
right.
New York State and have 9W,
There
9P,
you go.
9X, 9,
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, please don't. Alright, so on the top of Eberly Way is this walkway. And this was proposed to be redone as part of a smaller project. And New York Forward asked us if we would consider including this portion into our project, which would remove it from small project consideration, which would help small projects. And it would kind of build it into what we're trying to do is improve our infrastructure within the municipality. So I have gotten some initial pricing and measurements. Kenny and I went over and measured this. And what the final plan would be redoing this entire line all the way up, redoing the railing, widening it a little bit. It would probably match in design
To that effect.
and distance this, which is about 4 to 4.5 feet of width. And I think that the railing is about 7 inches on center away from the edge. We would want to do something similar to this. Strangely enough, at the end, it doesn't get pulled into the cement. I have no idea. I don't know why that's the case. Turning around. And then this mess would have to be redone, which it needs. And then we could have a crosswalk here. So that all of the people who are up here would have a newer, safer way to come down and access Wood Park and access the downtown.
That property's all ours.
No.
It's the housing authority property.
That
Correct.
is, yes, and I have to have a
Then really,
conversation
they should
with
be doing
Patrice.
it.
My hope is that, because they put forward the project, my hope is that if we build it into ours, they would provide a match for their portion.
But they
Okay.
should be paying, they should be,
They won't.
if the housing authority has access to a lot of capital money to play, they should be able to do it.
just because they're not doing it doesn't mean they can't do it.
Yeah,
No, I don't
This
disagree with
money-
anything you're
The money
saying.
isn't to cover other people's
there's
messes.
tons of HUD money for housing authority.
Then who do we get to write it? Because those are our people living up there who come down to our
Well, I think there's
farm.
an executive director and there's a board of directors there. I don't think we should
Oh,
be
God, yeah.
using what's competitive money
you,
to
Rob.
fund something because they don't
Yeah, I got
wanna
plenty.
write it, or they don't wanna pay $500 to get a grant writer.
Yeah,
I mean, otherwise, we
I
might as well
get
be
that.
supporting the housing
Well-
authority.
I worked on this for over a year and got nothing done.
Well,
No.
we should go to the town then. And
I
the board,
got
there's a
Dave Sutton to
board
put
there.
in drainage at the bottom, so it wasn't a sheet.
But still, it's housing
Yeah.
authority property,
When you were
which is
working,
under the federal government.
And just look at it, they do absolutely nothing
when you
for
were
improvement.
working
Well, they
on
don't do
this,
anything to the apartments.
what were you
Yeah, I
like,
know,
were
my, a
you
couple
on
of
the
my aunts live
board?
there, I know.
Were you on like a town entity?
The town.
No, we were doing the garden show to Sidcure.
Well, they
appoint people.
Yes.
Who's appoints?
Housing board
And
that does
whoever's in
housing,
charge
housing
up there
authority,
basically
yes.
told Marianne, sure, well.
Patrice is there,
put some
Dallas is
drainage in
responsible
there
for
if
that
you want.
building.
Right, cause it
and
was
their
a
wife's
huge
responsible
pond
for
of
the other
ice at the
building.
bottom of that, and the seniors
Could that
still
be a
walked
political
over.
appointee?
Yep.
No,
And,
Yeah,
so we
it could be, it's
decided
not.
we were gonna
No,
clean
no
up that
relation.
whole
Oh,
run.
really?
And, we
no.
couldn't get cooperation from the village highway department to help us with the new railing, cause we wanted to do the same thing,
Cause
match
it's
the
not village,
railing.
cause it's not village property, is that one?
Yes, we wanted to match the railing with the railing that was existing in the park. And all we wanted, because the other run, although
lights
it's
there
all
too.
overgrown and everything, it was a road. So there's a road under there. So the part that's really bad is the part where Dave Sutton dug it up and put in a culvert, that part.
Which is a huge help.
Yes, it's a huge help because it's not under ice. All we wanted the highway department to do is say, hey, listen, when you're paving and you've got some stuff left in the truck, could you just dump it and mat it down at the end so that it's not complete stone and rubble for them walking over it? And,
The pathways.
we never got that done either. They,
How long ago was this?
it was the first, was
This
it
was the second one, so that would have been, I think, 2019.
No, we know who it was,
Can we-
so.
That's why I'm asking.
Because this is just
That's why
one
I asked for the
project, and
date.
there's a Woodbridge project, and there's the town park project. Can we have a meeting with Mark and whoever else from the housing authority to
Mark
talk
doesn't
about,
know.
Agree.
talk about their responsibility, and that New York Board is intended to hold, and this is federal project, this is designated federal project.
So I sat down with Mark on Thursday.
No, I want the town board to do it,
Okay.
with the village, I mean, make it,
Town is Mark has no idea who actually owns
well,
that property.
they're responsible.
How can you not know?
He doesn't
He's the
even
town
know
supervisor for
who
like 10
Hoosick
years
Housing
now.
Authority is, he has
Well,
no idea who they are.
They appoint, they've
Maybe
been
that's why
looking for a
nothing-
seat.
The
last
town
year.
board appoints them.
I asked for an
Yeah.
interest and they found somebody else, the board's appointing the housing authority. I
So,
can give you
Right.
the names, it's public.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So I just think there's something going on here.
well, I that's
And
what I
this is just a
said.
minor part if they're not taking
I
care of the
wanted
rest of the
to,
building.
I wanted to talk to Patrice about this and see if they would contribute a certain amount of money. We mapped out $113,000 to redo about 1,400 feet of sidewalk. So this stretch is about 300 feet. We're talking about probably $30,000 of work to redo the sidewalk and some money for the railing.
They should have thought about their ARPA money before they threw it away.
I mean, it is what it is, but I know that if we can get support from them and put this into the project, it solves a
I
long
still have a
distance
fundamental
problem.
problem.
I
I think
do.
it's their responsibility first.
I
Not will you give us a little money so we can fix your property, and I think because they're lazy and not applying for money, it's not our responsibility.
That's why we're
And
discussing
if the buildings are falling apart, with the seniors are living in it and not taking care of it.
that's true, the buildings are.
So
falling
there's
apart.
a fundamental, and there are residents,
They
you
are.
know.
Yep.
So, I don't know, I just think there has to be some formal communication.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I agree with Doug 100% on this. I mean, listen, I'm just gonna say it out loud. I lived here for 20 years. I've yet to see any firecrackers come out of the armory over there. I mean, I've seen some new pavement on the tennis courts and a couple other things.
Well, they said no to free skating, refrigerated
I
skating
mean,
rink.
there's just, I'm sorry, but it's not our job to manage their properties.
It's not
and
like
stuff.
it's not like we have too much money for the village. I mean, we need it for the village.
I mean, what does the whole stretch look like? We can see there, but how
Okay.
are the seniors and I know it's not, like, we can say it's not our problem, but how are they coming off of there safely with, like, there's
They're
one
not.
light pole, there's no light for them.
Yeah.
There should be double railing for
Can you
senior
go up that
citizens to be
railing
coming
up
off
there,
of that.
I
to
have
the
some
park.
pictures I took. I'm
Like-
trying to find
I-
it.
How does that happen? Do we go to their board and say, do
Do we?
something?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's what we probably
think that's
should
what we have to do.
but we
It's always
can't, that's not
I
this
It's a
money.
vote issue.
Yeah.
I think to Doug's point about having a meeting with some people from over there.
like that
Say,
idea.
look, we're willing to roll some of this into it, but you're gonna do some work too. This isn't gonna be like a case where we sit and just do it all and
yeah,
and
we're
you
not,
go there
it's not
for a
like
ribbon
money
cutting.
is just coming out of
And
our,
it
we're
might
floating.
saying.
Well, I guess what I'm saying
I
is it
agree.
might
We
look
don't-
pretty.
They'll all be there for the
we're
ribbon
fixing
cutting,
that
though.
section, but that looks like a bigger issue.
I'm all
to
in
me.
favor of, fixing that up and everything, but
I-
not at our dime.
I
No,
have pictures.
Not when they
No.
have the ability to
Well,
hire
maybe
a
we
grant
can work
writer.
it together where they're paying for it and Kenny does it.
Are they
Go to the
having-
highway department too.
Are they having a meeting like tonight?
Wait, they have
To
a
discuss
highway
how they're gonna
department, that's
get
the only
grants
department they
and-
have?
So I had
No.
mentioned in the beginning that I needed to talk to Patrice about this.
But you need to talk to Heather, cause I believe Heather is Patrice's director.
Heather.
Heather's in charge of Wood Bridge, and Patrice is in charge of Wood Park.
But Patrice signed the application
Yeah.
in your forward for Woodbridge.
Okay, well, so,
this
but
is the
one,
one.
you're right, but Heather is higher up than
And
Patrice.
I
Does
arranged for
she
the
oversee
executive
this
director of
property?
Rouse to meet with Patrice.
Or does Heather
To go
oversee?
over what funding they have
Heather's
available.
office is down on the 22 property, but I
just-
thought Heather was the director and Patrice was the manager.
On the 22
But I
property.
could be wrong.
Okay.
What 22 property?
Meadows.
Oh, the Meadows, okay.
So this starts with getting the town board to figure out who's in charge of one of
Well,
their.
all I can tell you, when I was on the town board, we appointed the housing authority members, the board members. I know,
right.
that's the town's appointment.
I am hearing you loud and clear. I will reach out and start to shake some beehives.
And just another point, I'll keep emphasizing it. If the town came to us in the 2 years of planning process and had an interest in cooperating, we could have gone after $10 million. And they didn't, like
Right.
Lake George. So we
'Cause
get
they
the
work
money,
together.
and then they're coming in with their town projects. You know,
so-
I have a problem with it.
Yeah, me too.
I agree with you.
Yeah, just like the skating rink.
I understand the fundamental problems. I still think that if there's a $50,000 project that will replace that, and we put in some money to help that, and we pull them kicking and screaming to get some funding into this, it's worth it.
Then what are we not doing for 50,000? Because the money is all competitive. So it's not like we put it in, we're gonna get it.
Yep.
So something else isn't gonna get funded for $50,000.
If you guys can kick them into
I think
doing something, it's a win-win.
Yep. Even if
Good
they,
luck.
yes, if they can.
Well,
that's the big question.
Exactly, Dan.
Okay.
But yeah, but the opposite, the
It's like hitting the
reverse of
lottery.
that is, if we do this for them, they're not gonna take care of it next time either.
No, I'm not saying do the project for them.
Take the lead
If
and
this
they-
incites you to take the lead to get them to do something, whether or not you give them money or not, I think that's a good thing.
Ironically enough, the town board meeting is the same night as the workshop, right?
Yes.
Monday the 9th, so we can just kind of walk over there and say some things and
Yeah,
go back
just-
to our.
And I
LPC.
think there's some citizens who, I've had 2 people approach me in the last 3 weeks about bad housing conditions there.
Mm,
Yeah.
And some of the seniors really having problems.
okay.
They called Mark, because I really don't know anything about it. And then
I don't
called
know
the second
about it.
time and he said, oh, we're taking care of it. They have to be responsible for it. I think we really have to call it, as advocates for the community and the residents.
I
To
agree.
be honest with you, I don't think the town has anything to do with it. I don't think the town has anything to
The
do with it.
town appoints the housing.
But that's the extent of it, Doug. I understand.
Yes,
I
but-
sat there for 20 years, I know. The town has never had a say in what transpires up there. It's all done, all they do is appoint the people and.
There's
Oh,
no
I
over,
can tell
there's
you.
no
Then you
over.
drag 'em
You
in.
go to the city of Albany, Cahoon,
No.
Watervliet, or
No,
Troy, that housing authority is controlled by the mayor
Mark
of
doesn't
the
even
town.
know.
Right, they get dragged in.
And there's a lot of money coming in.
Oh, I'm not disputing it, Doug. I'm just saying,
Then they're being
He
neglectful.
doesn't know.
They're appointing them, they're
where
not
the money
following up on
comes
it,
Yeah.
just letting
He
it run
doesn't
itself.
know- He doesn't
Drag 'em
know
in.
anything, cause I cornered him on it.
This sounds like everything I've ever dug into in Hoosick Falls. Okay, cool. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
No, I'm not
So-
saying it's right. It's wrong, for sure.
Anyway, this project number 5 will be reorganized so
I'll tell
that
you
each
that.
of these items can be
When
itemized.
Douglas was started,
And if
this
we
town
decide
stuff
later
wasn't
that
like that.
we
I bet it
don't
wasn't.
get the support from the town or the housing authority or whoever is, we can recommend that portion be pulled out.
I want to suggest considering adding one, because when we developed the proposal, the plans for 2 years was along corridors where there were other developments. And there wasn't a lot, except for maybe the Firehouse Restaurant along Church Street. Now, when you look at the proposals, there's a lot of Church Street proposals there. And we probably should be looking at the sidewalks in that way.
So-
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a restaurant and a couple businesses
Yeah.
and 10, 20 units of housing going on there now.
So I
possibly.
didn't put it on here, but we do have a portion of Main Street. I have to think which one doesn't have the churches. Main Street. Main Street has the churches. Church Street doesn't have the churches.
Yeah, that's right.
The stretch on Main Street on the right side, there's portions that need to be addressed.
Like from
from-
past Immaculate Conception up to, almost to, what's the street? Willard, yes.
Yes.
To Willard.
So, and I can bring that
Sidewalks are
up.
atrocious on that side.
Yes, and we've been replacing a lot on the other side
Yes.
over the years, and it's made a
There's been no
huge
activity
improvement.
on the right side.
On the other side, let me try to find it here. The stretch from Iron Coffee to the Maggie's shop, that stretch of sidewalk is in pretty rough shape. Let me go into Street View here for just a moment, so don't look up if you get dizzy.
Getting a little nauseous here, Rob.
One more turn. Okay, so this stretch from here with I think an ADA or two that needs to be replaced. This stretch is in rough shape.
I can tell you every bump is in this village.
This portion here looks like it's going to be redone because there's a lot of digging, spray paint signs. So we're not proposing this spot
Do we don't even own that property either.
I don't think we do.
That's the federal government.
This spot,
Yeah.
this portion
That
is
ain't
not
happening.
bad. The post office to this corner is not bad. The spot in front of Mahar and Trusco is actually in pretty decent shape. Once we get past Trusco, this
Well.
stretch in front of the ICC rectory needs to be redone. This is in rough shape, and this is from a couple years ago. So this stretch is rough. This stretch has been redone. Does someone know why they still don't have it open yet?
Same
They've
way,
been
it's the
working on it
same,
forever.
it's open down on lower,
It's
uh,
got plastic and wood, but it looks like they
Elm
did it.
as well.
I just think someone forgot to come back and
Yeah.
take it off.
Or somebody's mixing the concrete
I
and the
can't
hand
even.
bores.
Anyway,
It's been very slow.
this stretch
National
is okay.
Grid.
Once we
Is that what
get
it is?
past the church, this stretch is atrocious.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So
if you go
this
farther
stretch up to Hall Street, either stopping right here or doing this
No,
next
that
stretch
next
up
stretch
to the
is-
culvert and stopping right here, that's also the boundary for Near Ford is just past this point.
We did the sidewalks
And-
with the
and
chips.
Kenny
right?
wants to do the rest of this
I
side
agree.
over time
I
with
agree.
CHIPS funding, and that's like part of our plan.
We should go all the way to
100%.
Willard Street because.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, to Doug's point, let me navigate over
It's a
to
random cat.
Can we take that cat off the sidewalks?
Oh, Bobby loves cats.
Well, you know when this
gotta
was
maneuver
when
down
this
Hall
was
Street here.
photographed, because there's a repair from the washout.
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing I didn't mention on the sheet that still exists is the potential crosswalk that I want to add. This stretch of sidewalks is actually in pretty decent shape. There's a couple ADA compliant ramps that we know we're going to be replacing some. This stretch isn't too bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible compared to the other ones. It is bumpy, but a lot of this is in not bad shape. What we were trying to figure out is where is the best spot to put a crosswalk when you're parking in here and you come out of here. Because right now, literally everyone, including police officers, will just jaywalk across the street because that's the best way. There's a crosswalk right here at the corner.
But nobody stops for you.
Yep. And then the next crosswalk
Better
is
off the
all the way down there by the
Yeah.
parking lot.
I would say when
So
right across
Right
from
there,
small,
that
right
right
there
here
going to
on the
now,
RGI.
here's the problem with crosswalks in
ramp.
this location. Nothing lines up.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, I'm
There,
saying, right.
this, you got a weird sidewalk thing right here where the sidewalk actually sticks up a little bit higher.
Because you're gonna want that ramp.
See this extra
Got it.
thing right here? So that's weird. So the only spot we could think of is right here.
Is that a driveway right there, though?
No,
It's,
no.
it's before the fence ends,
No,
and
on
it
the
would
right
go
side.
over to about right here.
I
Look
feel
at
like
the
old
It avoids
patchwork
this
and
driveway.
walk down the parking lot, walk down the sidewalk.
They're
and
still
then
gonna
cross over,
jaywalk.
then walk back.
No, I understand that. It would be nice if we could maybe remove some bush here and a part of the fence and give them a walking spot
But why
right here.
there?
People won't
Because
use it.
nothing else lines up.
The
Can
problem
you
with that,
back
you're
to
gonna
the
take
corner,
parking
though?
away from Little
This
Sprouts.
corner?
Yeah. So even though it
Why don't
doesn't
you go at an angle?
line up.
Yeah,
It's,
Yeah.
it's pretty,
don't
it'll
have
be
to be
used,
straight.
it will be used.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
What's that?
You could
Right.
see the
they
corner.
don't have to be straight.
See the corner left hand side
Does
where
it
it
have
already
to be
has
straight?
the ADA ramp.
No.
Why couldn't you
Crosswalks
put
don't have
a
to
ramp
be
that goes the other way
You
as
can go like
well?
this.
They
Just
don't,
put it-
they don't have to be 90
No,
feet.
right, but I'm just
So
saying.
from there
Meg
to
is
there,
right. And why can't, if you put a crosswalk in,
just put it
just
that
put
way.
break it down and put a
All you do is
ADA
cut that
ramp there.
barrier out and then make it ADA compliant on the
Those,
corner.
those barriers are there for a reason.
No,
You're
not
also
the
losing
metal
a
ones.
parking spot right
Not,
here.
I didn't mean barriers.
Why are
The
the barriers
concrete curb right there.
Yeah.
Make that a ramp.
Turn.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right here.
Right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
It's
Make
already
that-
a ramp.
make that a walking
Just make it a
ramp.
ramp this way.
It's just gonna be a very awkward spot.
It's better than
people
taking
would
the
use it
fence
coming out
down
of
and
the
putting it
parking
next to
lot.
the
Yeah.
I don't
driveway.
disagree.
There's no reason,
They're not
nobody's
they're
gonna
not
use
gonna
it.
walk a half a block to cross.
They're not.
I just
Yeah.
I couldn't find a good
It's gonna
easy
be at an
way to do it.
angle.
It's gonna be weird in some formats.
Or go the angle from the other
Why
corner
not?
across.
And also to make this even more
Oh.
complicated.
Just take that fence out a little bit.
Yeah, so look
By
at
that
see where
garbage
that
can.
panel is by the garbage can?
Yeah,
Like Dan said,
angle that
take
towards-
that panel out
just
and
go
then
across.
angle it that way. That'd be
Yeah.
a little more aesthetically pleasing. Although it is gonna be more
Then you're gonna
in
deal
the-
with Cumberland Farms people pulling out of
Yeah.
there, that's.
It's more of like
And to make this more complicated,
in the
this
intersection.
is a state highway.
Right.
So the state is gonna have to oversee this. So
Yeah.
we wanna do a
Strike that.
sidewalk. There's no really good way to do it, but it's still
Let's put
part of
that
our
on the back
proposal.
burner, let's put that on the wish list.
well, I
it's
mean
it's in the proposal. They
Yeah.
can figure out how to engineer that
Cause
later.
if the state's involved, we're really in trouble.
Yeah. All right. So all of the other stuff, the ADA ramps, the crosswalk is still in there. Doug, you were
22,
mentioning that you
haven't
wanted
touched
another spot considered for addition.
Well, the Church Street is what I'm saying.
Where?
Anything that needs, well, look at that
Yeah,
right there.
This is part of it. That's one of the
Yeah,
10 ADA compliant
But
ramps.
the
we can
corridor, any
fix.
any
Can you
improvements
go
on
down to
Church
the
Street.
firehouse?
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was sidewalk.
Yep.
So
And
you're
there's
saying
a.
it's pretty well okay all the way down there?
It is. It's actually not terrible. It's
Actually not terrible.
It's
no,
not.
it's
It's
not.
not.
It's not.
It's not great
Not
because
until
this
you get
is back.
further
Oh,
down.
by the way, Ray took the sign out of the window. There's no for sale sign there anymore.
Yeah,
we
Mark
did that
talked to
right
him.
after you came
Yeah,
into town.
cause Mark had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So he can't sell it? He's not selling it?
Which building?
Not sure, but he's not, he came in to see Mark.
Yeah.
Mark called him
You're
and
talking
came in to see
about
him.
This one?
Yeah,
This.
yeah.
Yeah, we made contact with the owner and talked to him.
Okay,
and-
Yeah.
so if that's,
Anyway.
if you're saying the sidewalks there are fine, okay.
Yeah.
Like this.
I mean, they're not great. They're gonna need to be improved, but we have
Better to
more.
take that
We have
money
worse
and-
ones.
Fix all the other ADA ramps that are falling apart.
That's why we have
a
10
lot
built
of
into
them.
this. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. But I've heard you loud and clear on the Wood Park Lane addition. I will make some calls and I will get back to us on if we want to move forward with that. There's
Well,
nothing
are we gonna
wrong
have
with.
before we do that, are we gonna have a conversation with the town or?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we should.
And we can also include it as a possible project, but and get feedback on at the workshop and beyond. So it's an important tool. And if people agree, like fundamentally, we should not be putting our money to that because it's not ours and someone else should fix it. Darn it, that's fine.
Wait, it's more than not that we don't wanna do it cause it's not ours. It's
No,
different.
I
Okay, I
yeah.
just want you to make sure of that.
That was just a very quick
Okay.
and dirty summary. Okay, so Murphy Building, we have more information because we did a much more thorough walkthrough. Thank you to Rensselaer County for allowing us to do that. I videotaped and did a bunch of pictures throughout there, so we have reviewed that. John has reviewed that. And one of the things that I actually noticed, which surprised me, was the floor plan that they gave us and the floor plan that they have posted throughout is very old and not up to date. So I took the sheet that they had given me on my iPad and I went crazy with my little Apple Pencil thing, and all of the red marks are going to show some of the changes to what's going on. And because this is impossible to see, I've taken that map and I've broken it into two parts so we can see it more closely. Now, the entrance to the building on 22 is right down here. They had this wrong, they had the location of the door wrong and the wall wrong, but this office is still there and this is all windows. They added walls here so that when people are coming down this hallway and there's no door there,
Couldn't see 'em.
that's weird. They can actually come in here as a window and people can do, pay money or whatever, and they're safe behind there. That was the point of this. So this is all here. This office is here, but there's a door there. And this office is here, but there's a door there. And then when you keep going up the hallway, this 45-degree thing doesn't exist. I don't know what that is. This wasn't lined up with the windows that are out on the side. By the way, R stands for radiator, and AC is all of the air conditioners that are in the building. Oh gosh, so many. But the office, there's a room here. The strangest room's over here. Two restrooms there. That's kind of this side.
The heat wouldn't turn
And
on.
then
Really?
the larger meeting room has a spot that sticks out here, access to a restroom there and there, an emergency exit hallway there. This is the old kitchen. There's a door into a storage area here, but there's no door there like they had on the map. And then as you keep going up here, there's one larger storage room which has 2 pillars right in the middle of the room. Do you remember when back in 2017 when we picked up our new environmental attorneys and we went to executive session? This was the room we had it in. There was a big desk in there and everything. That's where when we met here as a board, because we needed a larger room, we expected more people, we would meet here and do executive session in this
That
spot.
room is the probation room.
Right,
Probation
right, Doug, yes.
Okay. And then there's the stairwell here. There is the most hideous closet thing there. I don't even want to show you. It's so gross. The downstairs goes to here to the 2nd floor, but I just kind of went through and just marked up a lot more so that it would empower us to make a lot more planning here. This wall right here was added after the fact, and it's not a full wall up to the ceiling. It's more like a partition.
You can hear,
Yeah, so I think this could probably come out pretty easily. But when you're walking down here with this new partition, there's an actual hallway that runs here, so there's like 2 hallways next
Right
to
next
each
to
other
each other.
parallel.
It's really
Super
strange.
weird.
It's because one was the senior center, on the other side was mental health, and they needed some privacy
Right.
down there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've been told
okay. That makes
They made it work for what they were using.
by some clinicians that where the clinical rooms are, where the air conditioners was, there's mold there and they never remediated it.
Inside the wall,
Yep, from the air conditioners.
that would not surprise me.
Yeah, and the reason they told me when I was in there, they had the heat on, and they had the ACs running because the heat wouldn't shut off.
I mean,
That's why the ACs are in every window, because the heat wouldn't shut off.
Yeah, so,
So
so
burn
this
tons
is
of
the
energy
first
for one to
floor.
fight the other.
Our
Let
tax
me go
dollars
to
at
the
work.
2nd floor real quickly.
Damn.
The 2nd floor is much
That's
easier,
what the
but again,
clinician
whoop,
told me.
maybe they
this,
should find where the
nope, I went the wrong way.
devices are cut off.
Pretty old
The
fucks.
2nd floor,
I'll go shut
also
Well, yeah,
did
but
not
come on.
have the most up-to-date changes. So you come out of the stairwell here, this is like the DMV portion.
Mhm.
Where am I coming out of?
You're in the basement, so.
Basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the
Second
basement.
floor.
You're coming
That's
in
a-
from
that's-
The
there.
boiler is over here.
Yeah.
The strangest bathroom you have ever seen is right here. There's a ramp to a toilet in this spot, and there's a sink. It's weird. There's like a storage room that hasn't been replaced. These were the DMV rooms, like if you had to go back in the room or whatever. There's a closet over here that wasn't marked. And then there's the weird cage area, which is super creepy. This area is kind of like meh.
Storage.
It
It's
used-
like storage.
It was a supermarket.
Yeah.
It was Miller's Supermarket,
Yeah.
that's what the storage was down there,
This
that's what the cage
area
was for.
was actually
What's the
quite
cage? For what was
impressive.
they
It was the
put it
fitness area.
This
What's
was
in
the
the
fitness area for the
Cigarettes?
senior centers, and there's like
Cigarettes,
the
booze.
cutest like 4-foot high emergency
That's what
exit.
it
That's where they cleaned a lot of the
Because
mold out.
little Bobby
Yeah.
Ryan's
So the
running
munchkins
around.
was
Little
grabbing
Bobby
12.
I guess so.
Miller's Market.
You're crawling out. I think
When I
if
was a
you
kid.
could lift the wheelchair, I think even then it's not high enough.
Money,
Um, so what was interesting was I had expected structure to be in worse condition, and it wasn't. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the structure of it. We know it needs a new roof. We know it needs a new HVAC system. Without question. Like, there's no way this building functions with the current 9 air conditioners that it has. I mean, it is comical when you look outside. I hadn't ever noticed it until I started
Radiation,
looking.
too.
So many
Plenty.
air conditioners along
we
this
should have
right
an
wall.
inspector go look at them this year.
I was a little bit surprised at how much stuff was left behind by the county. That was distracting to me at first. I had to get over that and think about the structure. So this needs a new roof. It needs a proper HVAC system. But if we took this on, there is a potential for, and I'm going to speak generically here and then feel free to throw out some things. This becomes a courtroom and a meeting room with the judge's spot up here. This kitchen becomes the court office with an exit for the court that doesn't have to go through the folks here, and it gives the court a way to come in and sit at the bench. This can just become a restroom, a single restroom for probably just for the court. We would need another public restroom or two somewhere. And then you have a lot of offices here which are in okay structural shape, except I'm very concerned about the air conditioners in the wall. Those could be converted into a lot of different things. The police department could use them in a lot of different ways, in ways that we don't have space for here. The second floor, let me switch down to the second floor. This could become kind of a booking area. You could have, this area could be partitioned off and have court storage. It could have police storage, like files and an organization over there. You could have a larger meeting room with some other equipment if they ever needed to do larger trainings and have situations like that. This would just still be weird storage in a creepy cage spot. It's just storage. But there are some surprisingly good possible usages here. When this first was proposed, I was almost completely dead set against it. I was pleasantly surprised at the structure itself. I still don't know what's the best use of funds, but we do know that municipally we need more space. This building, as the court and the police department and the village office, all three are inadequately. We just don't have the space to do any of those three properly.
So my question was,
This building,
The one you looked showing.
the top floor is
1927 right there,
That's just a
right?
meeting room.
the top
That's
floor
amazing,
is
right.
4,500 or so.
Like, just use the same size.
Actually, I think this is it right here.
Just have it a different day.
yeah, it's almost 10,000
No, that's
square feet.
downstairs.
Well, you got
This is like
1645 for mental
4,500
health.
here.
I feel silly.
The downstairs is.
I know, it's the same guys.
I mean, you're not going to use all that, but really, you're probably talking 8,000, 9,000 square feet overall.
I think it was closer to 10, wasn't it?
That could be. This
So,
building.
hey,
That's a lot of space.
Aging, you got it right there, Rob. You got it right there. Aging is 6,400, mental health is 1,645, and DMB is 771.
Why waste any more
That's
That's-
overall.
That's what you got, right?
I mean, that's their numbers, so
That's what, yeah, so 771, 1645, you,
I'm a little nervous about trusting their numbers because I trusted their floor
If that
plan.
square right there
I
is,
don't trust them at all.
if that
so.
square right there is 1,927
It's a county.
square feet,
Yeah.
the building is almost 10,000
Yeah.
square feet.
Yeah, that's
that-
what we were thinking.
that-
So
9,000,
here's
10,000.
my question for everyone. What is our, before we even go down this road of this, what is our need? Like, how many square feet do we need? Because let me just ask this question. If we doubled the size of our police office and doubled the size of our courtroom, would that fit our needs?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
so,
no, I mean, if you look at it,
Wait.
when we go through a 3-year budget plan, we're talking about an added code enforcement, we're talking about another person in fiscal.
okay,
And that's, I don't know if there's,
So-
and the police itself is already cramped, and we don't have a detention place.
so but I'm saying if we doubled, right now it's working, but it's not working well, I agree. It's not the best. But if we, let's just say this courtroom, for example, if we doubled the size of this courtroom, added some offices, whatever, magically we could wave a wand, double the size of the courtroom, put some walls up, have some offices. What would you say this courtroom is?
Hold
I'm
on,
gonna
I have
guess
that.
with my measuring goggles.
33 by 18.
This,
But you take this part out as a cutout. That's the measurements of this room.
30
500 square feet, something like that.
600,
Okay.
almost like 600, yeah.
so, and would you guess that the police department is probably about the same size? The two offices on the
Well,
first floor?
you can tell right there.
How big is it? 33? Oh, it's about the same size.
Yeah.
It's actually
It's a
maybe
little bit less.
a little bit less. So you're talking probably 1,100 square feet. So if you doubled the size of your courtroom and doubled the size of your police department, you're now at 1,100 square feet. You're looking at taking on a 10,000 square foot building. Now you have 9,000 square feet, call it 8,000, whatever, left to maintain, to insure, to heat, to air condition, on top of everything else. How, when the power goes out, how are you gonna get power to that building? We gonna run a lead cord from here? No, we're gonna have to put in another generator. You gotta maintain it, service it. You're talking about a huge undertaking, a lot of fixed expenses into the future.
Even the roof.
The roof, and when you say structurally sound, I mean, I understand the walls are structurally sound. That, if that building was built in 1927, we know it's got rough cut, probably 4x6s or something running, across the top. How many of those are rotted that we can't see through the years? That's just my take on it, I'm just doing the calculations in my head, and I would say the village office is maybe about the same amount of square footage, so if you doubled every single section of this building right here, if you doubled the office size to accommodate another code enforcement financial person, doubled the courtroom space and doubled the police department space, you're still under 2,000 square feet. What do we need 10,000 for?
Well, storage for one thing, cause you're not counting
You
the
don't
storage
need
space.
8,000 square feet of storage space, so
Right,
Deb,
no,
we have,
that's for starters, and
Deb, we have a lot of space downstairs. We have
Hold
that.
on, Dan. You
No, I
posed the
know,
question,
but
and your points are good.
It's-
The one
we
thing
do,
I
we also have
hadn't,
a lot of space downstairs, though.
the one thing I hadn't thought of is the generator over there. 'Cause
Yeah.
That would, especially with the fact that this would likely become an emergency response location, because we'd have police there. We could have a sheriff's outpost or a New York State Police outpost. We could have a room specifically for them, which would be great. To your point, this area becomes not only the courtroom, but it's our meeting room in the village instead of having to go to the highway garage. So there's a huge improvement there. A lot of this is more space than we have had before. It's going to be used by the police. There's probably more space than needed in the top floor, which is why we talked about the possibility of a room for other agencies moving in Unity House or something like that.
Sheriffs. and
Sheriffs.
police.
The downstairs, again, to your point, there's a lot more space than we would need. This is a lot of open space. We could partition storage, but there's a lot of open space there we're just gonna have to kind of maintain. The same as this isn't really room usable space. It's just kind of storage.
Aren't those floors sloped down there too?
Yes, there's a
They're
little
not
bit of a
level.
slope there. There's a little bit of a slope up here, and there's a slope right down there.
All I'm saying tonight is that this should all be based on numbers and calculations.
Yep.
What is our need, and what are we looking at? I just ran 3 quick numbers for you and told you that you can double every bit of village office space and still end up with 8,000.
but where are you gonna double it, into the park?
I know, that's
And
the,
Into the
no, you
park,
go this way.
which we don't have enough
I
of?
know. I
You're
hate
gonna
that
lose-
idea.
you
You're
lose
gonna spend
four-
$1 million plus as you've already
Yes.
spec'd out
Yeah.
to do all that.
So,
You get, the problem is, again, you have to maintain 8,000 square feet more than you need.
Well, you gotta maintain 2 buildings, not 1.
And put in 2
Or you
generators.
can be
and
radical and move the whole operation over there.
Well, and what do you do with this
Everybody
building?
here
Then what do you do with
could-
this building?
Yeah,
Well,
the
that's the
visitor center or
next
something.
question.
Yeah,
That's the next
I
question.
like that.
I,
Because it will
what's
take
wrong
up
with
the
moving
entire
it out in this way? Like you talked about
So-
that initially.
since we're kind of diving
about the
into this,
quote.
Did you get more definitive numbers?
not yet. No.
I saw John
Um,
Cooney at
Can we,
Aaron's bar.
This building here, this is the existing layout with the proposed addition just in size here. So this is what we have right now. I drew in the beautiful court over there because I am artistic as heck.
It's not 990 square feet, Rob, about 1,000.
What's that?
Yeah.
You're about 1,000 square feet.
Yes. We actually measured this out, 33 by 30. The storage would probably have to adjust, but we think the generator would be able to stay. So what I did is I put out just a simple idea of how we would do this. Right now, this hallway is the police door, and this hallway right there. This would become a police-only access. This entire space would be taken over by the PD. Where I'm sitting right here, this part would be built into the police. The hallway would continue down here. This location here would be a new office specific for the courts, so that the court could have a functional and safe window from this hallway, which would give them more space and more security. The door would go out here to a spot where you could go downstairs if you needed to, like the police officers need to bring someone into booking, or you could enter into the court on this side. But to Deb's point, we're taking out the parking lot here, which means we're losing parking, and the police vehicles that are there are going to have to be parked,
Especially to have
somewhere
court
else.
here, I mean.
and that affects Wood Park. So anything
We
that
have
we
court here
expand
now.
out, we have the space
can I
for
just
it.
say, a lot of
but we're
people heard
going
about
into Wood
this,
Park.
and they came to talk to me.
What's that?
A lot of people heard about this,
Sure.
and they came into my shop to talk to me.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, they didn't like it.
Provide
Not a single
services,
person.
Shared services.
They're not
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
why?
this
Here,
expansion.
This building, you mean?
Yeah, expanding this building, they didn't like that idea at all. Losing the park
Can we
is
suggest
not an
that?
option, they said, and losing parking spaces is.
It's not losing the park, but we would lose
Who didn't
parking
like it, Deb?
spaces.
Who didn't like it?
The people who came into.
Are we
in the
talking
shop,
like
they came to talk
handful, a
about it.
dozen, a couple dozen?
Did they
Okay.
present other ideas?
Well, no, they just came in to chat, they're not in the government, for goodness sake.
No, I
No,
know,
but like,
but-
how many numbers are we
But
talking
they
about?
know, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 people I spoke to?
Well, we
I
may
mean,
hear
I
about it
didn't
at the
call
public.
everybody.
No, I'm not
But it's a
suggesting
cross
that.
section, it's a cross section.
Yeah.
I will tell you that it's from different parts of this community,
Well, we should
In-
hear it Monday then at the public hearing.
if they come.
Yeah.
I hope
Well,
they do.
Tell people to come.
Like, is
Yeah.
it worth considering a parking garage for the police?
Oh, what?
As a
You mean
parking
here?
garage, as a,
No.
so that you don't have,
Add 'em in over
as
the
for an
highway.
expansion of parking, if that's one of the issues.
Even with a parking garage here, we have to put it somewhere, and any space that we go
No,
this way,
parking
we're kind of creeping into
No, I ain't saying.
a beautiful central location.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
not that big
my
a park.
problem. I don't want
I,
encroachment.
I will vote against it.
Rob,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
again, thinking 2-3 years ahead, and I've heard from numerous sources that this Walgreens is one of the Walgreens that are gonna be closing.
Yeah, I heard that too,
Really?
from a,
They're closing like 1,200
Yeah.
stores.
I heard that too. There's never a pharmacist in there almost.
No.
You're right.
They got the hugest parking lot in the whole
They-
community.
Seriously.
But,
They don't own that
but that
parking lot, I don't
closes,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
We should quiet.
well, I mean, I thought about that, and, I mean, about the parking issue, I understand, I guess,
How do we get there?
I do like the idea of keeping this building, but because of the even though we're gonna lose parking here, you're talking, if you, based on those measurements, you're talking 30 feet from the end of this building is to the, I measured the other day, it gets the, to the,
There's a
par-
big
to
thing
the,
from
the,
there.
pa-
There's
oh,
a big
close to the end of
Verizon
the,
thing underneath, you know,
What's that?
right back out there.
oh, I understand that, but it's close to the pavement, and it's close to
I'm
the edge of
gonna
the pavement, is
do
all you're
maps
losing.
and stuff here, so look.
That's
away
all you're
from this,
losing.
But I wanna give us the
the
area.
cost per foot of doing that. My understanding is it's very expensive,
Of what the,
taking that 30 feet.
oh, I'm sure it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other piece of it, and I don't think we should do this because of it, but it's a piece, it's
Back
just a
here.
little bit of another reason why we should do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that building's gonna sit there because there's nothing really
Yeah.
else that can go in there.
So I want to dovetail on that because the after walking through it and knowing more about the building, there is one massive major uncertainty that hasn't happened yet. That building has not sat unoccupied. This is the Murphy building, has not sat unoccupied through winter, and that is very concerning to me because I don't know how the maintenance is going to be through the winter. I don't know if the heating is going to work right. I don't know if problems are going to happen in there because people aren't in on a regular basis. So it's concerning to me that that building could go through a winter, regardless of if we get the award or not.
Well,
Part
that's
of the
part
Murphy
of
building, and that's
downtown revitalization.
to the point
yeah,
of
sitting
The
there.
older,
there is
solar
an
panels
advantage
right there.
of being proactive and taking on that building and being part of the solution.
Yeah.
Has the county indicated to you whether if we were to do something, they'd give it to us
Yeah.
or lease it?
I
Lease it.
think that they were
Like $1 a
probably
year.
looking to give it
They're
to
all
us.
forwarding it.
I have not had direct conversations of it. I have not had a lot of responses back to some conversations, but they did help us get in the building quickly, so that was nice.
Only because I have an attorney who lives in the Hoosick
I've had a
Falls.
couple emails to our
Shit.
local Rensselaer County legislators.
That's useful.
I have, I'm hoping that I can get more clarity from them on this.
Can you show the, oh, okay, somebody told me
Them's like looking
somebody.
into the ocean.
that this, okay, whoa,
Oh,
wait, that's the building where the tattoo shop is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the funky piece of property that we don't know who it belongs to.
We don't own it.
We
No,
do
the
not
tattoo
own
shop
it.
owns
We
it.
definitively
Are you
do
sure?
not
Oh,
own
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because I was told that there used to be a building there, and it was a funny shaped building, which is why this is a funny shaped building.
Ah.
You
And that
agree.
building was torn down because there were no taxes, nobody's taking care of it, it was collapsing. That building was torn down.
According to the county, when they
And, can
pick
I
up
finish please? I'm speaking, thank you. That's my come on.
What's up, Bernie?
Anyway,
Hi, Bert.
this piece here was taken for taxes. And the building, I think the village or the county knocked that down. That means the village or the county owns that piece of property. Unless, Amy,
Amy
when
Allen
she
owns
bought this, she also bought that.
it. She did.
She
Amy
did?
Allen owns that.
Oh, okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you, came in just the
Just
right
in
time.
time.
Who
The
owns
county
what?
had worked out-
Never mind.
That got all worked out when the
Amy
county had put the
Allen.
propane
Right.
tanks.
Amy Allen owns the land behind the
That's what I was
building,
gonna say.
up to the walkway for the doorway.
Senior housing, yeah,
Yeah,
right up to the
yeah,
house, right up to the
right.
doorway.
There's a paved walkway right where your mouse is,
Mhm.
right there.
Right there,
And
and
that's
that's,
above the property line.
that's where they could walk out the steps right there to go to the garbage dumpster was on the right-hand side.
Right.
That's the only way the county could empty the garbage.
Come on.
Are you saying you'd like
Right.
that property because
That-
she'd
that
be
car
an
is her
easy
property.
person to talk to?
She who?
Amy.
Oh, Amy?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, I
Does
just,
she
I heard,
own this building?
not from anybody, I didn't hear it from anybody official, I was just asking.
You
a
sure she
question.
still does?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I
But
thought
she's on a tax
Gary,
roll with it.
Well,
I mean,
Gar-
that's anything.
No, well, Gary owns the tattoo shop
Yeah,
though.
Gary owns the
Gary
tattoo
Sussman.
owns
shop.
the building.
Sussman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
So
don't
he
know
would-
if
he
he
would
bought
probably
the
own
property.
so he
behind
brought, so
it.
if she had merged it into one, then yes, she
Then
does.
he would own it now if he purchased it. That piece of
If
property
he bought
would-
the whole thing, but remember when I bought my first house?
Yeah.
And there was that little funny piece of property?
Yeah. The
That's never
unknown.
been merged.
Yeah, but
So-
if he
Yeah.
bought it, oh.
It's
like,
simple
it could
enough.
be
All you gotta do is check with
separate.
on the tax rolls, that's all. I
Yeah.
mean, it's-
Let's talk. We'll see.
Rob, we're gonna need to do something in a focused way to make some decision
Yes.
within the next month on, because we got those two proposals up and decisions are gonna need to be made, so I don't know, going to Dan's point, do we point a committee to look at the numbers and look at plans, so it's done in a planful way, and it's gotta be explained to the community either way. And we certainly gotta be clear with New York Forward, not just throw it out there and see what
Yep.
happens.
I agree.
I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. On both Murphy Building and this
Yeah.
sort of addition.
Right.
We
'cause-
need to make a decision.
Right.
Yes, and I think that we have the ability as a board, once the projects are submitted to the state, on saying, we as a board would like to see this one prioritized, whether it's the Murphy
Right.
Building or whether it's that. And we know, we have said from day one, we're not going for both, we're going for one or the other, but we're using this time to develop that.
The difficulty with that though is there's another proposal in for the Murphy Building and we're taking that, and if we're gonna edge them out and then turn, we really don't want it
There's
anyway,
another
that's not exactly.
Is
Well,
there
the
another
one for the Murphy
proposal?
Building
That
a
is
bad
a
idea.
fair
Really
point,
bad.
and we have to refrain from that discussion. But that
I guess
is
I
a-
missed that. What was?
Yeah,
I'm confused. What was?
Talking about the
There's
repairs
Garrett
they
Wright
have
is
to
putting
do
a
on the
proposal.
Murphy.
Oh,
Murphy
right.
Building
Oh,
for 10
yeah.
for
apartments.
apartments. Okay,
10
okay.
studio apartments.
Is he's the one that owned the place?
Let me
Across
find
the
that
street.
proposal,
Across
give
the
me
street.
one
Woodward.
second.
So I wouldn't-
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
the
yeah,
place
yeah.
options.
You know, I'm gonna do this over my screen so you guys don't have to see all the craziness happening here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
If you're looking at the Murphy Building, like, I know if this was, my experience was from a commercial point of view. The land, if you're gonna lease it from the county, if I was leasing that building, the person I'm leasing from you could get them to repair the roof.
Good luck with that. You're talking the county.
Oh, they,
No,
the county
they're-
didn't even
they're
take care
washing
of it
their
when they
hands
had
of that
people using
building.
it.
We had a situation last year where we
I'm new to the area.
we
Yeah.
pointed. No, it's all
That
right.
would be nice, cause usually when counties or cities lease buildings for like $1 a year, they'll take care of the facility and they just want somebody else using
Right.
it.
Right.
But I don't think they're.
We don't have that
That's
kind
what
of
I was thinking
relationship.
from a commercial perspective.
This
They
is
paid the HVAC, they repaired
Yep.
the roof and.
so. This is the 114 church. No, wrong one. I'm in the wrong one. Sorry. I thought I had the right one. There we go. This is the proposal that was put forward, which just got a little bit of discussion initially from the LPC, and it needs to be further vetted out. And I know there's been a time period where New York Forward consultants have talked
That's
to
the
all
guy
the project
owns the
owners
hotel
and asked
hotels.
questions and got more info. But this is the other proposal for the same building.
Which is way too low, everybody kind of.
Way too low, and he doesn't got the financing for it yet either, or nor does he own the building, because we don't either.
Yeah.
But he also has another building that he also threw 10 apartments at. So he actually has 2 proposals in New York Forward,
Mhm.
both which are not vetted out, not
Teased out. and
teased out.
to details.
And he says he's gonna put 10 apartments in each of those. So I don't know whether he's hoping one of them gets thrown out, not both, or I don't know what
Well,
he's doing.
What's the other
What-
one? What's the other building?
Jim Martinez is building the
Mark-
third building.
He's
Oh, he wants to
buy it.
buy the building?
Yep,
Yes.
1.3
Let
million
me find it 1 second here.
I
is
hope-
what is the proposal, whether he's got the money, that's a whole different question.
I want to be able to see that.
Brett.
Hey there. How are you?
Hey,
Brett,
So
welcome.
what can we do, Rob, in terms of,
Yeah, certainly. Please, 7:40 p.m.
Game store
record.
renovation.
Dan, are you willing to take a look at it?
I would love it if someone
Which
could
one?
take this.
No, just look at the 2 buildings.
The Murphy Building.
Run through the numbers with the new.
I can get
Yeah.
more thorough numbers with John Cooney on this building. I would love someone to take on thoughts of numbers and estimates for the Murphy Building. That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that proposal.
Where's the one you just had for the Murphy building?
It's way
Garrett
down on the
Wright's.
other side. Give me
652,000 is
Yeah,
what
that's
hits for
what it was.
renovation.
So
Why am I not seeing the
62,000
other
per
one?
apartment.
Did I miss the Thorpe's building?
You didn't do,
I think it's down. I thought I saw it.
I did
down
not
here.
see it.
I can't look at it.
I'm sorry
What's
about
that
this.
game
but-
store renovation?
Yeah,
I don't know.
go up right there.
Bobby, is there still a thing about
Is that it?
apartments in the,
No,
if you're making new
no,
apartments, you
no.
have to have 1.5 parking spaces up?
No, that's not.
Yes, that's still on the books.
That's
So
code.
where's he gonna get 15 parking spaces to make the 10 apartments out of the Murphy building?
I think
It's
there's
different, wait,
quite a
no,
couple of them go under the county
it's
across the
different
street.
for, depending on how the district is zoned, it depends where it is.
That's
If
not
in the
a
commercial district, doesn't
You don't
matter.
need it.
You
You've
don't
got
need, there's no,
village parking then, Bernie.
yeah.
how many spots aren't there? Isn't
But,
there several going down the side?
10 studio apartments,
I mean, the ones on the other side
it's not a good idea.
aren't.
And
There's
another
property
thing,
that-
we don't need
that
more
are-
studio
That's
apartments.
it.
Or right away
We
or
need
what?
families, families.
That's it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's the bank building.
Yeah, that's Tri-State, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the church.
that's
Street
the other
side
one
is-
that,
Yeah.
which also has similar numbers.
So I have just a question with regard to these proposals. So he wants to do 10 units at 625,000, which is obviously $62,000 a unit, which isn't entirely crazy for studios. But can you have, as a committee, the local planning committee, can they have like an expert look at that and look at his numbers to make sure it marches out, or is that not like a real thing?
The first thing is there's readings going in, and they will eliminate the first third that's on the lower level. So it could be eliminated right off the bat.
But say assume that it makes it
The
through
state's the experts, so they are
Oh,
supposed
okay.
to be doing.
So they
So,
will
yeah.
vet that, so they know what the average cost is per unit in an area,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
They'll bring DAC.
To convert it, right,
So-
and everything.
Well,
I just,
the consultants have talked with, I'm assuming most or all of the project sponsors to get some more information ahead of the next meeting. And I think that they're also gonna be reaching out to them ahead of the next LPC meeting, which is going to be a really important meeting. Not just a public workshop, but the LPC meeting where I think some significant decisions will start to be made.
Oh, just so you know, going back to the tattoo parlor,
Yes.
Amy Allen thinks that Gary Sussman still owns the lot that goes with it.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Exactly.
But he doesn't own the building.
Yeah, he does.
yes.
He does.
He owns,
Oh, he
yes,
does own-
he
okay, I'm
owns the
sorry.
building. He definitely
I'm
owns
sorry,
the
I thought Amy
building.
was the one who owned the building, I'm confused.
It's a lot of money.
So,
It's, I think it's more than that.
anyway, this is accessible on the New York Ford website, under the LPC meeting 3
I'm sorry to
documents.
say it.
I agree.
Alright, so going back to our discussion points, who is gonna be able to take the lead on, working out more detailed numbers on the Murphy building?
Is that a local planning committee or a board thing?
We just take it on ourselves, we
I
just.
mean, I don't mind doing it.
I would
You
love
just
it.
gotta tell me who I need to, like, you know, who to talk to
You have
and.
to find out
I saw
somebody
John
who does
Cooney
that
the
kind of
other
work.
day at the barber shop. He said he was gonna get,
He's
a
getting
quote.
me the specs.
yeah, he said, I'm
prepared.
working on it. I was, okay.
Yeah, let's you and I talk and we'll
Okay.
we'll take on trying to flush this out more. Does anyone else wanna be involved in this process?
I wish I had time, I would do it.
I know, I
I'm
hear
not a
you.
numbers person either.
That's the only thing I'm taking on too, because it's.
That's a lot.
I'll help out. I'm
Okay.
not great at that kind of numbering, but.
That's alright.
I listen to, but
I know.
as you can see from my arrival here, I'm now going to be living at a soccer
Soccer
field
field?
for
Yes.
Oh, good.
Did you
Okay.
say you,
so, what?
did you say you'll do it?
No,
I mean,
no.
I would like to, but my time is.
Yeah,
going
his
to
time
be
is quite limited right now.
very limited.
Alright. So
Plus you're starting a new
that's
job.
kind of the end of the project updates. I do have the older slides, but I don't need those. I'm gonna scroll back a bunch to the agenda. Just to bring up the other ideas. First off, the updated SLR proposal, you're gonna have to give me a minute to get that up there. Wrong page.
Can I ask a question?
Please,
It may
yeah.
be silly, but I just wanna ask it.
Sure,
We have town court, and we have the same justices
yes.
as in the village. Why can't we do like
They're
a joint
technically the same
services?
people,
Right.
but they're different functions. They have 2 hats. They have the village justice hat and the town
I
judge
understand,
hat.
but do you think that that would be something we could work together to have like courts in one space? I mean, it
The
just would
judge
make
is
sense.
interested in that.
It would make sense
I
as
can
opposed
tell
to
you-
like having to build more space.
The problem is the jurisdiction of the village versus the town.
No good.
I can tell you it's perfectly legal because the village of Dolgeville in Herkimer County, the village court, dumped it all in the town of Manheim, and that's it.
It would just make sense to me, like one
Is that a
location,
county
why
thing
do we
that
need
you can
two?
do it, or is
It's a
it-
What's
waste,
that?
it's a waste of space.
Do all counties have those same rules?
That's gonna be governed by state law.
Same?
County, yeah.
Okay. So,
They
but
got rid of
like civil service has, each county has different civil service laws.
But even then, they gotta
And there's
follow,
more parking
90% of
there.
it's governed by state civil service anyway.
Is what?
There's more parking. Like instead of having people
Well,
here on the curb in the
That's
middle.
not necessarily, it depends if it's pickleball night.
Make sure it's not pickleball night.
Yeah, no, that is.
Pickleball doesn't play on Thursday nights because there's court.
Perfect.
Honestly,
Yeah, but that's not, yeah, the town, you can't have the
Well,
village and
that's
town court
court,
the
so we
same
need
night.
village court to coordinate.
honestly, merging the
What do you
two
think, Bernie?
court jurisdictions is probably
Tuesday,
not a bad
Wednesday, and
idea.
Thursday.
Who's the fine revenue?
Oh.
Yeah,
Because it would go to the town.
yeah, Shouldn't- that doesn't work for us.
Alright, don't
True?
dissolve the village court.
No,
Are
that's,
you talking about
that's,
dissolving?
No, I don't mean dissolve.
Well, they merge, a lot of
Yeah.
villages have merged.
Oh.
and
no,
made
so
it-
you have village court on one night and town court on the other
That's
night.
what
Hey,
I'm
man,
saying.
It could be a shared.
I don't want.
Maybe the ramp at the senior center, senior housing. would get
No,
fixed.
I'm not saying dissolve the court. I'm saying
What
just
exactly are you
use.
trying to do? What are you trying to, because the
Save
village-
space.
It's saves.
Share the.
Well,
share
we're,
the
we're,
total.
Share-
you missed the whole part of the beginning.
Right.
We're
Which building are we talking about though? Because we, you know.
Murphy.
Oh, we're talking about, well, you're talking about the, well, if we went to the Murphy building, you're talking about doing joint court,
So
or,
we have village court the first night, or we do town court the first Thursday of the month, then village court, and town court. So they have separate nights already, they're all on Thursday.
and village court's on Tuesday here too.
Right, so using the same space in the Murphy building
During
would
the
work
day.
because they'd have them on different nights.
Yeah,
It's every Thursday night, but it's either one or village or town. So it's not like they have.
And you know about all those courts and when they meet, why?
Because I work at the court.
No, I was gonna-
His wife is majoring.
He needs to.
Isn't one like
It's
traffic
like a
ticket
regular
night, one
yeah.
criminal night or
What's
something?
that?
I
Isn't
think
one
that
like a
makes
traffic night
It
or
is,
something?
and
that-
they both do the same thing, so the town
I
has a
wouldn't
traffic
work
night
that
and a criminal night, and the village has a traffic night, and criminal night, so
Yeah.
it's Thursdays.
Mhm.
Just have to
Ah,
work
okay.
out town, village, town,
every other,
and it's every Thursday night, so
Yeah.
it's, one space is perfectly fine in the Murphy building, because that would be perfectly fine.
It would
Getting
work,
the
it
space,
would work.
doing it
already,
is
because
not,
Like I said, it's the same judges, so it's.
Yeah.
And why couldn't it be in the?
it's not
in
as
the
simple, it's
armory?
dealing with it
Why
between the
couldn't
town and the village, and that
Couldn't
doesn't,
they
go
all
over
be in
there?
the armory, just like they could all be in the Murphy?
Yeah, that's good,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's another
Communication-
discussion that would
communication
have to be
is
had,
not- as we can
with the
see.
town.
With
Yeah.
the town.
I hear you,
The Murphy
I hear you.
building
Yeah.
is somewhere distant. Why, this conversation could continue.
Yep.
And then this would be, then you could get rid of this courtroom altogether and have your office space and police
I
expansion.
mean,
No, it's-
I'm not playing devil's
Good
advocate,
idea.
but it would make sense
They don't have
because
any
Oh.
personal
the
space.
space for both
really.
places.
It's, it's a logical choice.
Thanks.
Just bear with me for a minute. I'm getting the
Just let you
other
know.
proposal.
Here, that's not been brought, that's not the
Oh,
first
yeah,
time it's ever been brought up.
I'm sure it won't be the last.
When I was in
All right.
college.
So, in terms of the Monument Park project, we after I spoke with you guys at the meeting, the special meeting, and then the board meeting, and some emails. We've gotten the restructured plan, which has taken out about 2 months' work, and I think dropped at about $15,000. So it would be a 4-month process that would come out with the same results, but in a kind of a simpler way. This proposal is $58,700.
Need the town anymore?
Combined with an up to $7,000 joint proposal with Sterling Environmental to help us navigate environmental issues at the Oak Mitsui site. We would be looking to contribute $65,000 to come up with a 15% design for what we could do at the Oak Mitsui location. And that 15% design would both empower New York Forward to know what the plan is and be able to contribute funds to working that plan into fruition. And also, whatever we spend on this plan goes as part of the match to make the whole park happen. So if we do pull the trigger on this, and that means that $65,000 is part of the overall project that we are putting in forward as a match. Without doing this, I don't think there's a way that we're gonna use that area in a organized and concerted way. We know that there are potential environmental issues there, we know it's safe, but we also know that we have to be smart about how we do things,
Maintain.
and this proposal
Yeah.
allows us to do both.
I
We
thought we
don't-
eliminated stakeholder engagement.
We eliminated most of it, there's still a little bit for coming out to meetings and presenting and hearing from
Oh,
us.
that's with working with us.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but the larger component and the other, that's been removed. This money would have to come from somewhere, we don't have it in our normal budget line. This feeds into the possibility of using the funds from the upcoming settlement money as part of this. So, board, what say you about these proposals now?
I myself am in favor of it, of moving forward with it, cause I think we need to spend the money to see what we can do, cause I think that Mitsui property is valuable property to the village.
Yep. In a spot that needs value.
I'm not I don't like the idea of investing money like that, not knowing if we're gonna be able to utilize it or not, but if we do get Mitsui, it's money well spent. I know it's a big gamble, but.
But coming up with a design also gives us accessibility to other grants to pursue.
Right.
True.
And they did knock off, you were up at 71, right? Did
We
they
were
knock it
at
down?
70 something.
So you
for
were down like
fire. I'll find that out
13,000
in just a
roughly,
moment.
it was.
Doug, you wanted to say something?
And my only concern is, except for making decisions now about this money as it may relate to the water plant, I don't wanna start ad hocing, let's pull this money, let's do this, let's do that.
No, I agree,
So,
Doug.
but I want that context, that if we do this, outside of what we may need to, water goes to water.
Can I jump to that then?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I spent some time talking with, our department heads, about the municipal building, the wastewater treatment plant area, the transfer station, the DPW equipment and facilities, and the water treatment plants. And I have a spreadsheet that I will get out to you guys as well, but I'm gonna put up on the screen in just a moment. As soon as I figure it out, that goes through all of this and also lists out a priority. So this is a very, I don't know how to say this, unsexy looking spreadsheet. I just kind of quickly threw it together. So I can make some shifts and zoom in on things, and I'm gonna kind of set this up. So let me just give you a quick overview. So before the settlement money was announced or known about from department heads, we have been talking about wanting to get a larger list of things we need to improve upon. I had them give me a priority list from 1 to 5, 1 being this is urgent, we should have had it yesterday, and 5 being it's going to be a thing we need eventually in a couple years. In terms of the municipal building, a lot of this we've already kind of have plans for. These 2 things are part of the New York Forward project. This is a small thing that we can do on our own. This is because this carpet is gross and it's old.
Yeah, but you're saying that the
Burning
DPW is gonna do the, I'm not in favor of DPW doing any of the work.
No, it wouldn't be. This was
Can
just
you be the
department.
carpenter?
No, we don't have a carpenter, we don't have
And
carpenters.
those steps back there are going
Carpenters.
to need some work, but this is all smaller stuff that we can do on our own versus budgets.
Okay.
Alright, wastewater treatment plant, most of these are in priority order. The overall ask for everything is $103,000. Now I spoke with a bunch of people, so I have some more technical information on this if you ask. The fine screen is both a screen that filters things out and is a mechanical item. There's one that handles all of the stuff that comes into the wastewater treatment plant. If we needed to put in a new one, it would probably be about a $200,000 fix. To fix what it works right now, but it did take some damage from things that were sent down there that shouldn't have been sent down there that kind of damaged things. So everything is working. All of our permitting stuff we're doing, we're not getting cited on anything. These are just kind of things we're thinking about. That could be as much as a $35,000 fix. We're gonna try to get quotes on that ahead of next meeting. The blower drives. Hold on a minute, because I have notes here as well. Bear with me for 1 minute. I did not mean to do that. It's not opening. Is this the one? Oh, hey, that's hard to read. I'm just going to narrate that from my computer over here. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. These 2 blower drives, we have, where's the mouse? We have 4 total in the plant. They run 24/7. 2 of them are great and working fine. 1 of them is limping along and 1 of them is offline. We are okay and not great running 2. We're fine running 3. Obviously, it's more ideal running 4. this is the cost to get those replaced. And as just a reminder, the sewer plant was installed and online in 2005, so everything down there is 20 years old unless we have replaced it.
2005 is 20
But eventually
years
the
ago.
other
It's
two
insane.
blowers are gonna fail also.
Eventually, but they're
Right.
running fine right now. Knock on wood, no issues.
Okay.
We have 3 tanks, and if you guys just bear with me for a minute, I'm gonna bring up the aerial map because it's a lot easier to understand all of this when you see the wastewater treatment plants. So just please bear with me for a moment. Where's maps? There we are. Okay. Here's the wastewater treatment plants. This is the little electric field agreement. It's over here. These 3 tanks are decanter tanks. This is tank 1. This is tank 2, which has been offline for a couple years. We don't need it. It'd be nice to have, but we don't need it. This is the larger tank 3 that handles, I think, the majority of the flow of the village, whereas tank 1 is where people who are dropping off sewer sludge, it goes in and is treated there, so they're kind of treated separately. So I bring that up because the items specific to, again, tank 1, tank 2, and the larger main one is tank 3. Let me go back to this. There's an air valve on tank 1 that's supposed to be automatic that is not, so they have to manually adjust that on and off, which is fine because during the workday that's when deliveries happen. So it's not a big deal, but it's certainly an annoyance and not working the way it should be. So that's a $5,000 fix. The decanter, which is the mechanical arm that lowers down and skims the top of the tank, it works, but it needs to be adjusted. So we basically just need to have someone come out and do the labor on adjusting it. Tank 2 has been offline for a couple years. We have the parts. We just need to get someone to come out and fix it. And tank 3, which is the main one, it's the same thing. The decanter works fine. Everything is okay. It just needs to be adjusted again. So the total ask from the sewer department for all this stuff is $103,000. Prioritized as you see on the right. Any questions? I know I just threw a bunch of technical crap at you. Cool. Alright, the DPW transfer station. Let me go back to the map for a minute because this is actually a really easy thing to describe. If I can find it. Where are you? There it is. Okay. So when you drive into the transfer station, and you now see Keith and he says hi. On the left is the pad where we put all of the, what type of material is that? There's a name for that. Deb, what's that material we put in the pad?
What, concrete?
No,
The concrete pad.
no, it's,
Rugs.
no, it's
Oh.
What do
It's like
people drop
Rugs,
off to put on the
furniture,
concrete?
old
Oh.
building stuff. There's a
Yeah,
term for
just-
that.
demolition
Stuff.
debris.
No,
Okay.
appliances going different
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, let's call it
Demolition,
debris.
it's demolition debris.
And then
I call it
there's
debritter.
2
Yeah.
Debris.
large tanks that are over here.
Well, dumpsters.
Dumpsters, rather, sorry. And what happens is, when the transfer station isn't open, the excavator comes in, scoops all the stuff, puts it in here, and these get hauled out and replaced. What we have now is we have a damaged wall on this side,
Actually, it's the other side.
or the other side, 3
It's that
walls.
side.
The pad is not big enough. The space here continues to erode no matter what we do because of the weight of the stuff here. And the proposal we have is to repair this wall, to adjust a little bit of this, but to extend the concrete
30
all the way
more
out
feet.
to here, and also over to here, and over to here, which would put these things on concrete.
Right,
It
which
would
they
give
should
us-
be on
It
anyway,
would give us more concrete space.
which DEC would be very happy about.
DEC would be very happy about it. All of our guys would be happy about it.
More room
We
for
could
bears.
properly grade this right
No,
now.
no need for bears then.
Need a
For
bigger
when it
electric
rains,
fence.
it needs to be graded properly. Right now, it just puddles up like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Pat McKitis give us an estimate.
Yeah, but that also, Rob,
$30,000
included,
estimate.
well, going back, it doesn't matter, you have to go back. It also included putting the dumpsters, which are over, the garbage dumpsters were up on the point right there now.
These
Yep.
That was also included putting those on, them on concrete pads as well.
up here.
Yes,
Okay, I'm glad you.
I know that because
clarified
Kenny
yeah.
had the conversation with me about it.
We had
so.
to move these. We had to install some fencing because of the
Electric fence
bears.
around that
we
now,
kind
so.
of reclaimed that area. They regraded it for us, and that will be where the concrete pads go. And the nice thing about moving it up there is we knew that this was probably going to expand, so we didn't want it really right here where it used to be. So that's why we moved it up there. We even took out, I think, 1 or 2 of these. I think it was just one.
One.
and that's up here, knowing that there would need to be increased traffic here in the future.
Right. Yogi hasn't been back yet.
He has not been. Isn't that
No.
been nice?
There was not a request for a scale?
We couldn't afford a scale.
Because
The
they're
scale
hundreds
is
of
astronomical.
Also, then you
Well, I
have,
don't know, we're talking about spending a lot of money.
We're talking about $100,000 for a scale.
Well, we're spending $100,000 on some other things, aren't we?
True.
Go through this
but-
list?
Do you want
I'm just
me?
asking, I'm
Do
just
you want me
asking.
to get? I can certainly have
Because
him
my
look into that.
understanding is that's related to the costs that we're collecting versus what we're paying out.
Absolutely, we
Yeah.
don't really have a good way to measure.
the other thing
cost.
is it costs, and you have to do it at least once a year, I imagine, probably maybe even more.
Certified.
Is it needs, yeah, somebody needs to operate it, but also
Oh.
it needs to be calibrated.
That's what I said, it had to be certified every year, it has to be calibrated, yeah.
I will
If
get
maybe-
a price.
Oops.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's our food. You guys.
I
can
think
eat that.
Kenny, I bet you Kenny has a price for it. He just got a
Yeah,
price
please
recently.
finish my saltwater tapping, guys. So we can get a price for that, Doug. I'll get that added. All right, DPW. I have more information on this, but these are the priorities and I put them in order. 2 new dump trucks. The first one should actually be coming not from this ask, but from selling the excavator and CHIPS fund. So right off the bat, dump truck number 1, we already have a plan for. So really, this
650.
200,000
Yes.
is not there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, dump truck number 2 is important, and the reason behind that is because these dump trucks are old, and we're concerned about one or both of them making it through this season. So that's a frightening.
We haven't bought a dump truck since 2005.
Yep, some of these are gonna get older. We do not have
Seriously.
a vehicle lift in our new highway garage, and the vehicle lift would not only allow for easier use and access for our mechanic, but it would actually, I think, allow the police cars to get some more basic things done, the simpler things, and save us the money of going to some of the other establishments that charge more.
Have we looked at the insurance? I think there's a huge insurance
On the
cost for
vehicle
that.
lift?
I
do
think
not
so.
know that.
No.
I will have.
We may wanna check that out, cause I
We have
know,
a pit already.
so,
You
I know
have a
s-
pit, but that's different.
Right, we have a pit.
some places eliminate them because they don't wanna pay the cost.
I will
That's
find out.
what my understanding is, Rob,
Yep.
I don't know. But it is a good idea, I think there's a good ROI
Yep.
on that.
Our bucket truck is from 1996. This price came from looking into a kind of a newer
bucket
used
truck?
vehicle.
What's a bucket
We
truck?
have the spot right down on Route 7 in Brunswick.
Oh, the cherry.
What's that place that sells all the Universal or all the
Upstate all the
Up,
stuff.
yeah, so we can go on there and get prices. So we kind of figured these are actually pretty solid estimates. That he prioritizes a 2. A new pickup truck. This would be to replace the 2013 truck, which is the one that Neil used the most in his time. And one of the plans for that is that for whatever reason, when the last year Neil was here, he got a new plow for that didn't quite work with that. It didn't work with the other trucks. It was a different type
Or a
of
new
plow.
truck. Yeah, nah.
So the new truck that we get would work with the existing new plow. We wouldn't have to get the new plow part. Our front loader and our backhoe all work. They're fine, but they old, and that's why he put them as priority for us. That's probably a couple years down the road. And an air compressor would be nice. It's older than 2000, but we don't know how old it is. It works fine, but again, it'd be nice.
They do a lot of stuff over there.
So that's $655,000 of asks, kind of there. Now, the big one.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Oh, I gotta click. Okay. The water treatment plants. Now, first off, we already know that we need a dehumidifier. We've already put forward money to have that go out to design and go out to bid. And by the way, a schedule update on that. It will take about 6 weeks to get all of the design done and the bid documents done. So somewhere around late October, the bidding period will start. It will probably be open through maybe early December. We'll review those probably around the new year. We'll be able to pull the trigger on approving whichever bid we go for. We're estimating that the new dehumidification system and installation will probably cost around $250,000. That's probably a tiny bit high, but it's better to just kind of figure high.
Yeah.
And it would likely be installed based on whoever gets the bid when parts are available, spring. So that's kind of where we are with that. And you're going to see a lot of issues that have been caused by a lack of a proper dehumidification system in the water treatment plant in here. The Delaware $5 million project is here because we've already sort of worked on a full proposal for that project. That project is the new Rogers Avenue tank, which has been leaking since I became mayor. New water lines on Scott Street, Hill Road, and Mechanic Street, and some new hydrants and a couple other small miscellaneous things. We've already priced that out to be a $5 million project. We've gone for grants and we haven't gotten it. The irony of the grant game is that if you decide to move forward with the project and secure long-term funding from the state, that makes you more likely to get a grant.
Right.
So they want you to go into debt before they'll give you grant. Whatever it is,
Like-
what it is.
Do it.
That's like some Vegas stuff right there.
Yeah. So that
Most
is
grants
there,
are
and that's
do it.
important. That may or may
Isn't
not
it
factor
nice?
into
Yeah.
this, but I'm just
We
gonna
don't.
leave that there.
$100,000.
All right. New water truck. We kind of
Bond,
figured a
bonds.
gently used with what they're looking for. Utility boxes on the side, a slide out sealed box,
$60,000.
and a small crane that allows them to do hydrant lifting and valves when they have to drop things in.
Doesn't the
I-
sewer vac truck have a little crane on it?
Does it?
Unless you get a used one.
I don't.
I thought
think
they had a
so.
little
He's spending
crane on
around
them, no?
20.
So that may be high, but we
The
kind of
van, I
figured
was
that
thinking
was
like a van.
fairly
No,
new.
that's
A
fine.
van,
They don't want a van;
We
they
had-
want a pickup,
yeah. Right, they want,
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah, they want a truck.
and that's part
I'd
of the
like to
reason
have
why it's so
Powerball
high.
too, but
Me
things,
too.
some
Well,
things
I
don't
mean,
happen.
like the van is not that they want it. The van just makes more sense for what they need
Yeah.
to do.
All right.
One of those houses on North Broadway in
So
Saratoga.
they need a vehicle. That vehicle has been on its last legs for like 3 years.
Maybe Dan can find it.
I
Everyone's
feel
got it.
like there's a
Like it.
legitimate way where you could take out the floor and
Sorry.
run like Fred Flintstone.
van
I
right there.
pulled up to their
condition.
water
17
break
grand.
today.
Got a van right there for
The
you.
ambulance.
17,000 village yellow.
How much?
It's a
how
damn
many
van.
miles
I
is
took the
that?
ambulance to
I
work
call it
today
the
because
Dan-
I had
48,000
a
miles.
trust for
2012?
Ukrainian
Yeah.
families.
It's the ambulance.
Okay, so anyway, that's their ask.
Veto.
Have you gone camping yet?
Ha!
Take that off.
Worked out?
Yeah,
Now-
okay.
Everyone looks at it.
Priority wise,
One of my
I'm gonna
my
summarize a few
cousins,
things quickly.
older cousin has one. Goes
Let me
everywhere.
scroll down so that you guys can see the overall
An
ask.
ambulance, yep.
59,000 miles.
So listen, the overall ask for the water department, if you take out the $5 million project and keep that separate, it's 448,000. That's the key number.
Let's just take out the 5 million right away.
So I'll just,
That ain't
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
that's not
we know
happening.
that. We know we're
We're
pursuing
gonna need
that.
100
be
more
realistic.
settlements for that.
Okay,
Can I just stop for a second?
sure.
The water lines, I know we've been having a lot of water lines, we talked about this.
They were
They're
just out there again.
I
No,
mean-
they have a water leak today.
So, the lines that are outside of the village line that we're gonna be responsible for,
Yeah.
is that included in this?
That's the $5 million project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can take it out, but we're gonna keep putting money into it.
We're gonna keep spending a lot of time and energy up there.
I mean,
I think that we're gonna have to do something. We're
we
gonna
don't have to
commit
lump it with Rogers Ave
to a larger
Oh, yeah.
infrastructure improvement, but
What
we're
is
also
this?
balancing
The other-
paying off 3 infrastructure
The
improvements.
problem with that,
I
Megan,
know,
is
but-
that that's not,
I want
it's,
one of those.
it's a water district
Oh, you want one?
that used to pay for
No,
their,
the other one.
if there was work done in the water district, the residents would pay for it. Now they don't. Now the village assumes all the cost. So, so the residents on the town outside, or outside the village pay 1.5 times what we pay for water.
But I mean-
But that's, I'm just saying, that's not gonna cover all the money we put into that infrastructure. I mean, we spend more time up on Scott Street, the town just paved it, and we just had to dig up what they just paved. We're digging up another section of it tomorrow.
Why? Oh, cause the.
It's
It's
according-
bad, it's really bad.
It's just an
According-
old line
according
in a
to
spot
Pat-
that doesn't have
I
many
mean,
projects.
how
Trustee,
much-
that's Clay Hill,
According to
right?
Pat Bacaitis today, the
How much does it cost
line
to
is a
replace the
thin
whole
flimsy
line, though?
plastic
Like, just
that had a
replace the
30-year
damn
life
thing.
expectancy 35 years ago.
So what
Yeah.
what do we do?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and the problem is with
I'd like to say we need to figure that out.
That's a priority.
That's what Pat told me today. I don't know.
It's the same thing with the
in my eyes, town outside the village
The
is
Rogers.
not a priority.
It doesn't matter though, they're village lines, they're still
Yeah.
our lines, you have to be
Not
providing water to them, you can't just say, well, you're not really a resident, like, we still have our lines that go to them, that's like fines, that's not,
No, I understand. It's the same thing with the Rogers Avenue tank.
I see.
I understand your
We've known there's
perspective.
problems. We haven't had the money to jump
And we,
onto
and we
it.
still don't.
Yeah.
Not that, to that
I mean,
tune.
do we look at larger grants for infrastructure?
If
Do
we-
look at, like, I mean, we have like the drain, the wastewater drain lines and stuff that are crazy. Do we look at like a large scale infrastructure?
That is what that $5 million plan, that is a large scale infrastructure.
Well, no, I get that, but not including that in what we're talking about as far as settlement money and stuff like that.
We could look into other grants, but as we've
See you,
discovered,
Mary Ann.
we have to
Thank
kinda,
you.
we have to decide to move forward with the whole project and secure funding from EFC, and then they come in and say, we'll give you 25%, which is a really nice chunk to get, like 1.25 million.
I don't, yeah.
But we're still on the hook for 3.75 million.
I'm not in favor of bonding another penny
No,
at this time.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm dead set against bonding any money for any more that's gonna go onto our our residents, because
I get that.
we're, until we
If anything,
get,
it's the
until we get something paid off,
Mm.
we can't bond any more money. We just can't.
Yeah.
How
We
long
can't, I'm one vote, don't get me wrong, but I'm not,
No, I'm
I'm not in
with you.
favor of doing that.
How long is that Scott Street line?
Too long.
Oh my gosh, it's so long.
It's about, I can tell you, it's about 400, probably 400 to 600 yards.
Just to give you perspective on it.
It's just such a.
It's in the leak now, the leak now is the
help me
last,
out
the
here.
next to last house at the end.
Help me
it's-
out, where am I going?
The,
Yeah,
oh, that's
this
Saint
is it,
Gobain
right?
right there,
CEO,
so.
right?
Okay,
Right there.
so this is Scott Street.
And the village,
This is coming up the hill, so this is River Street.
River Road,
River
River
Road,
Road,
backwards. You come up the hill, you turn left, and this entire run.
yeah, but let's stop, Rob, go back up to keep going back,
up to
back.
the turn there.
Right there is where the village ends.
Okay.
That's where the village ends.
Yeah.
That's the village line. So anything from that point on is the town, and look at how many houses there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 houses,
What is that?
7
Doesn't-
houses.
Doesn't go on
What's the
whatever.
That's
scale right
Quarry
there?
Avenue, no, that Quarry, no,
Let's say
that's
100 feet.
it doesn't
whatever
connect.
What is that under there?
Quarry Street, that
No,
comes
the
up.
one here.
You go 100 feet.
So do you
That's a
guys see this
driveway.
line right here?
That one, something
Yeah.
ant?
That's 100 feet.
The one that goes
Right
up.
here.
No, not this one over here. This one.
That's really intense.
That right there?
Yeah, right where this thing is.
So-
Yeah, that's Dolan Avenue.
700.
That's gotta be at least 1,500 feet.
I was gonna say
Mhm.
like 12.
Yeah, that
I think
little
it says-
thing is-
If this little
Howdy,
line down
howdy.
here is 100 feet.
1,500 feet, so
Oh,
that's
just
five,
the
four, I
little
said
one.
400 to
Gotta
600
be.
yards.
There you go, there
So-
you go, that's 1,800, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that land like the back of
Because
my
we're,
hand.
it's always a thing, we're
We're
always
under-
out there.
Right, and it takes so much of our time.
And we're
Yeah.
replacing it in
Yeah.
piecemeal, which is all sorts of the wrong way to do
And
it,
be
but we
honest
just
with
don't
you,
have a better way
listen
financially to do it.
shit.
Alright, going back to
Seriously.
the
We
spreadsheets,
have two people-
um,
2 people that are squatting.
hey, that's
in
not the
houses that-
spreadsheet.
that are bank owned.
There's the spreadsheet, okay.
One of them's Alicia
Um,
James. She's been-
You guys see the
she's
priority
been
numbers
tried
over
running
here,
one of our cops.
the two,
We-
joking.
I wish we could.
so let me just talk about a couple quick
I
things here.
suggested it.
The 2 water strainers are the
Shouldn't be
huge,
anybody there.
Megan, this is what you have been pulling for.
Yes.
The huge iron red metal parts that are part of that major piping in the processing, the larger room.
Mm-hmm.
And that we know to repair the 2 of them is $75,000.
Yep.
But again, there's questions of should we do it now or should we wait until the humidification system is set, hopefully in the spring. But that's a priority. These footings, they have a quote on already. These are the footings that connect the equipment to the floor. There's 6 in the larger processing room.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 in the finished room, which is smaller, and 2 in the raw water. They are prioritizing these 6 first, and then, but again, after the humidification is installed.
Right.
And then these couple and these, but it's you know it's basically about 1,000 each is roughly what it came out to. We have 4 pumps that come out of our Paul filters. There's a skid A and a skid B. There's a pump that pushes the water in, and the pump that feeds it on to the next part of the system. So that's kind of what this is. We have already gotten this one paid for, and we're waiting to have it installed when the installer can come out. So that one is set, which is why we can say these are 12,000 because we've already done this pump for 12,000, and they're all about the same size.
That's the one we just recently did?
This is the one that we recently have approved, but it hasn't gotten installed.
Right,
yet.
we ordered it, but it hasn't, right.
So their approach is they want to replace this one on skid A. Once that one is done, do the other side of skid A, and then go back through and do the skid B pumps as well. And again, this water plant went online in 2009, so we're approaching, we're at the 15-year mark for a lot of this stuff. This is not like screaming on fire stuff. This one was, and we've gotten that fixed, but this is going to be coming soon.
2009 was the new water plant?
I think that's when it went online, yeah.
Was it? I thought it was older than that.
So I think it was like from 2007 to 9 is when it was going on, but I feel like it was online in 2009. I can double check that.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Alright. The raw water room footing is not a big deal, and the metal cabinets that are rusted out in the bottom in there are not a big deal, but it's important.
Put them in the back of the truck.
There you go. The positioner actuator is a low priority, but coming soon.
There's your storage bins.
The garage door bay in the water treatment plant processing room that comes up and down is starting to rust out because of the humidification, so that's on there. But the total ask with
What about the floor? What wasn't it like tile coming up because of water or something?
they did not include that in the list
Where was that?
because the
the
dehumidification
bathroom.
system is coming.
Oh.
Oh, the bathroom tile floor is there, but they figured they could just either do the work themselves or the DPW could do the work, just to replace the flooring in there. It's not a.
Okay.
That's a. No, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. That's something they can budget in their normal budget
Okay,
stuff,
thank you.
not do themselves.
Yep, got it.
I don't know why my
I'm
brain
like,
went there.
why?
So with taking out the Delaware $5 million project, the total ask is $448,000. Police. It's pretty simple. A new patrol car is really necessary right now. A second new patrol car would be really nice. A third car, which would be dedicated to the administrative role, is a down the road item, and it's less price. I kind of figured that.
Veto.
But
Veto.
Negative.
that's fine. It's a down the road thing. We recently got from the county 13 new radios, which are fantastic, but it's not enough for each person that we have. And that's good to have that, especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bernie, when you make a call on your own radio, they see who's calling, so they would just know immediately. Additionally, when the county went through with the radio plan, they only planned for it to communicate within county lines. So part of this radio inventory ask is the ability to flash and reinstall the firmware, which would allow us to communicate across county lines. Washington County and Bennington in particular, which is, we're up
Makes
against
sense,
both of them.
yeah.
So
Makes sense.
that is this ask right here, and the Ann Bort Memorial Speed Trailer for $15,000.
Why is it called the?
Because she would yell at everyone every possible time, begging for a speed trailer over on River Road.
River Road and Cummings,
yes.
Is that one of those things that flashes what you're speaking?
Yes, and you can, it's
Oh, we had
portable,
one
you
up
can
on
move
Wall
it and
Street
plug it
for a
in. We don't have one, we
Yeah.
know where there are
It's a
speed
share.
zones.
Where is it now, Bernie? Do you know?
Last time it was on Wall Street, I don't
Yeah.
know where it is now.
It's not there now.
It's not our insurance.
Yeah,
Oh, I
think,
know
I
it
think
is.
the county took it back.
They
on
cost
that,
$15,000.
Yes.
Can I? There's got to be something cheaper than that. I mean,
You can put like the sign on a pole
Yeah.
that flashes.
Obey
Yeah.
the speed limit?
Yeah.
These
No,
types
no,
of
no,
things-
no.
They do have the ones on the poles, I've seen them pop up a lot of places.
There's-
Those are only like 5,000.
Oh,
There's
the one
one
in,
in-
the one in Greenwich?
there's
Like
no,
the
there's
one
one.
in
In,
Bennington?
there's one in North Bennington, right by. If you go by the post office and turn left, it's on a street sign.
The ones
It
in
says
Manchester.
it tells you your speed, and if you're speeding, it says slow down your speeding.
So the ones that I've seen in Troy and
In
Brunswick
Cambridge,
are
yeah.
already not working, so they've been up for a year or two and they're already not working, so.
Oh,
The one in
Are those
Manchester
solar
says thank you
powered?
if you're under the speed.
Yes,
I don't see a
yes.
solar on the ones I see in Brunswick, so I kinda look for that, cause the one they had on Tamarack Road
Yeah.
stopped working, they just took it down because it was too much to fix.
Is that why they took it down?
Yeah, it just got stopped working.
I
Yep.
hated that.
That was
sign.
35
What about the
miles
one
an
in
hour. It's
Greenwich,
35 for a long way.
That's-
in.
I know.
flashes as
Tamarack?
soon as you go
Yeah.
No lie.
So I feel like the speed trailer does other things as well.
It collects
It,
data.
it
Yeah,
does, it does collect data and you can have it, so it can take information on the plates going by, so if it's something
Yep.
you're looking for, or
Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
like a
the speed
built-in
trailer,
LPR.
like, the speed trailer that we borrow from the sheriff's department, you can look at collective data, when the cars are speeding, the highest speed, lowest speed, so it gave you a synopsis of what was going on as opposed to just.
You could get actual speeds and times when they happen, so you,
You
could look
could,
for
yeah,
patterns.
we did, right.
Okay.
Okay.
So that there is a reason that's there. That it's a good tool
Right, as
Right.
opposed to the signs. right.
as opposed to signs, which
Bless
bless
you.
you,
Excuse
kind of
me,
more
what?
decorative.
You don't think though these speed trailers and the license plate readers aren't going to start making people a little nervous?
Might make it
Well,
slow
When
down.
they slow down on
They
Wall
should.
Street, it's up there.
No, I mean,
I mean,
like
that
the
should,
license.
that should be the
I
purpose.
don't know, man. There's some people that get
If
really
you're worried
jiggy over
about
those
it, don't
license
do it.
plate readers and feel like they're being.
I like makes me slow down. Like oh.
No, I'm talking about the ones that are what are we installing, those things that record every license plate that comes in?
Oh, the
that's
LPR.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Plants.
What do you mean they make people nervous? They're there for a reason, if somebody's
Thank you.
missing or somebody's
like 'em
on
for
the
that
on the
reason.
loose,
Yeah.
If you're looking
they're
for
just looking for the
somewhere-
place to go by, right,
You don't
Bernie?
have
And
to
then they get a hit,
exactly
right?
do it.
I'm just saying,
Hit
I'm just
that
saying human
Big
nature, man,
brother.
you start putting too much stuff.
You don't
together.
even know they're there.
So
You wouldn't even,
this
if you didn't know what they look like, you wouldn't even know it's there. You ever see the one on Route 7 by the
And
Manicat?
water
Yeah, up on the
plant
pole.
Yeah.
equals
Yes,
this
I go-
number.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my nice little equal sign there.
I mean, that's been there for quite a while.
And then the DPW ask equals.
We already have the LPRs anyway. They were part of the electronic stuff. At least one of them, right?
I left out
portable,
the
where we got, yeah.
transfer station.
That's why we're putting the
How could
receptacles on the
you?
poles.
I'm getting there. I meant
Garbage.
to have this done earlier. I'm really sorry. I
Thanks
didn't.
for doing all this. It's
No,
a
that's
lot,
alright.
especially with school.
This is important stuff, and you guys have really wanted to see this happen. So if this is what leads to this discussion, I am ecstatic to hear it.
Shoot.
Alright, so these are the overalls for each of them. And that auto sum is going to be
1336, yeah. 1236 and 315, 1551.
Plus 5 million dollars.
plus
Yes.
plus or minus 5 million.
Plus
yeah.
5 million.
So
Let's not
in
forget that.
the larger
This is good for the
scope
town to make a statement.
of yeah, I actually kind of was surprised that it wasn't going to be this much. To Doug's
Nobody
point, and Doug, feel free to interject or expound upon it more. We are only, as an administration and body right now, can only really officially make decisions on the first million because that's when we expect it's going to be coming in over this time. Sometime in the later part of 2025, that board, of whoever it's made up, will have the ability to make decisions on the next level. And it doesn't have to necessarily include this stuff, it could be other stuff and so on.
I think
What are,
this forces us to have an opportunity to develop a 3-year plan.
Absolutely.
Agree.
And I think the public expects, and they should expect, that we're gonna spend this money and they're not gonna see increases in taxes. I mean, most of them think we can put the money towards bond and it'll get increased. So if we spend the money and we're still increasing taxes, I think we got a problem.
okay.
My thought is, as opposed to priorities, if we divide it out, and maybe it doesn't work because that money isn't so, if we divide it out, what would we know, what's on that list that we would have to budget for next year? What's on the list that we're gonna have to budget for a second year? What we're gonna, third year? We can then show an impact that we're not taxing them, as opposed we're just spending the money. If we're saying these are have-tos and it's a matter of time, then if we
Right.
put it in the context of budget, we can explain, pretty much they shouldn't, I would be thinking, village, you get $1 million a year and they're still increasing my taxes, what the heck? We should be able to not have to increase taxes much at all. So if we can tie this into reducing taxes next year and future years, because we're not taking it out of the tax dollars, that's the messaging I would like to see, because we're not putting it towards the bonds. We're not putting it towards lowering their water fees or their sewer fees, which is what they feel.
No, but we're putting it towards our day-to-day operational costs.
But they don't see that.
Yeah, Doug's not agreeing with that premise. What he's saying, and I understand it, is if we just spend this on stuff and don't either lower bonds or go with a no tax increase, the community is not going to understand, the message is not going to understand, even though we can justify it, and we probably feel it's all the right stuff.
Oh,
And I think this would otherwise be an attack. We don't have ARPA money, that saved us the last couple of years.
Yes.
So if we just convert this, that this money would normally be tax dollars next year, the second year, the third year.
Especially with the police cars and stuff, that's.
Yeah,
Well,
and
with
because
the-
we don't have
the
capital
dump
reserves,
truck
we're just
alone,
taking these
we'd
things
be
and we're just
looking at
spending the money, cash
Possibly
out
a
of the
bond
budget.
for the dump truck.
So
And that's-
we phase it in terms of it's irresponsible spending,
can't afford
that's gonna hit you
additional
next year and
bodies,
next year and next year.
Right,
But we're not gonna pay
To
out
tag along with what
bonds
Doug's
either.
saying,
That's-
I think we
that's-
should
I mean,
also
that's
add
the
in,
thing, the people-
Well, that's
we have
that's
one
what I
conversation,
wanted you to
please, you
pull
guys?
up.
when a decision's
No.
made about what we're gonna buy, a police car, dump
Hey, we're
truck.
having too many side conversations, sorry.
We add that to that newsletter that goes in with the water bills and see, you know, received blah, blah, blah. We're replacing a 2005 dump truck, which is on the verge of
Crazy. It's so
structural failure.
It'll be in next year's tax.
A police car with 120,000 miles that literally drives within 1 square mile.
2000.
They're
What
frozen.
was the last one,
Oh,
sorry?
these are just
I
water.
said, the dump truck,
Right,
a police car
Yep.
that drives in 1
You
square
can't,
mile.
you can't,
Right.
the police cars don't have a lot of mileage on them.
Yeah.
No, I know, but it drives within 1 square mile.
They don't have a lot of mileage on
The
them.
water
For a-
vehicle.
No, but they're
No.
running all the time.
Well, they have,
Yeah,
100,000?
3 out of the 4
Three
vehicles have
100,000,
100,000
one's
miles.
got-
all driving with the exception of going out of town or
Can
down
we-
to the RCJ
It's all local driving.
in 1
Right.
square
I
mile.
mean, they're old cars, I drive the white car, the headlights
Yeah, but-
aren't bright enough to
Can-
see the cars in front of you, I mean, it's just, you know, they're just.
Can we
You like that white
also
one?
sit down and
Well-
talk about a budget
Loose
for
and unsafe,
replacing these
high speed.
vehicles? Like
Yes.
like a 5-year plan of we are going to have to replace vehicles. We can't do this 2009 dump truck thing anymore. Like we need to put money away
Can you-
from each department to pay for these replacements.
Can
Like
you-
that's
What's
fiscally
with the
responsible.
school buses?
Can
What's
you
with the school
pull
buses?
up-
I mean,
Yeah.
you,
Depreciate.
that's what you have to do with all your depreciating.
It's exactly what we're complaining about with the.
yeah, they also have a
senior
$21 million
Right.
budget.
Give me
Right,
just
and
one
Let's-
money from the state to pay for the buses.
But
that's-
just
Right.
kinda go back, if we said
We're
we
still
wanna
paying for
spend
it.
$700,000 of it this year, we can say that's 700,000
So
we would
that
have to spend
year-
next year, and that's worth X amount of dollars in taxes, that is, their taxpayers don't have to pay
I
next
got
year.
you.
I think you throw the hypothetical out
I
there,
have one
too.
number wrong here, so I'm not sure what it is. So I will go back through and figure this
Without
out. But
without this settlement,
overall,
we'd have
ask
to replace a dump
priorities. I
truck
gotta figure out where I'm off 10,000.
at a cost of
Let me bring up what
$700,000
you're
to
asking.
And we have to
taxpayers,
do it.
which would have resulted in 8.2%.
That's exactly it,
Right,
exactly it, that's
right.
exactly where I'm
Yeah,
going.
we
You
save, right.
This offsets at, I'm just making up a number.
No, sure.
6.1%.
We're saving them tax dollars.
right.
We're
And
not
like
just
bringing-
buying toys.
and
If we
really
weren't
people
doing this
figure-
with this money, we'd be
That's a
doing it with your
really
tax
important
That's right.
distinction.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
it. That's the
really
bottom line.
Can we,
distinction.
yeah, Rob,
But,
can we do
right, I
that,
agree
like,
with that,
really
but the
break it
scary
down
part is
to
if you don't,
percentage?
I mean, I'm not in favor
That's
of,
impactful.
of lowering taxes. I'm in favor of keeping it at the tax cap, where we have been, that's,
I'm not,
Not
I'm thinking
raising
we're getting $1
them.
million, we should be lowering taxes.
well, but the problem is, if you do that, well, we gotta do the numbers, we gotta figure
Yeah.
out, if we don't increase taxes by 1.5%, what's our budget, Rob, total budget roughly?
General?
Yeah,
2 million.
well, I know it's hard to,
It's under 4 when you include water, sewer, and general.
I just don't want to be
Okay,
in the
I'm
same
thinking
position as our
everything, so-
water. You
so
know, we
you're
didn't
talking-
raise water
under
for so
4.
many
so
years.
$4 million, if
Money.
you reduce, if you increase taxes by one, is that right, what we do, 1.3%, is that what it is, equates
So
to under 2%?
55,000.
Cap?
The tax cap percentage is advertised as 2%.
Right.
There's a formula, it's typically around 1.2%.
1.2 to 1.3,
And that
right?
increase in revenue is only about $20,000 to $22,000 a year. And
So-
it comes down to
How,
maybe like 30 cents per 1,000 or
but how
something
much of
like
that budget are these one-shot deals that we have to spend $50,000, we gotta spend $80,000, or we gotta buy a police car, how, you gotta
Well,
look
there
at-
isn't anything in there.
Oh, yes,
When-
there is.
How? We don't have a new police car in the budget.
Look at,
No.
look at all the one-shot stuff we did, and look how much we threw in ARPA, cause that bailed us out.
Oh,
Oh,
ARPA
maybe.
saved
Yeah,
our
but
butt,
that bailed us out.
sure it did.
Because we
Absolutely.
don't have a budget for
So
these
we
things.
probably an
We need
average, if you go to the
to.
last 3 years, look at one-shot deals, capital expenditures, buying equipment, how
Yes.
much is that? Cause
Right.
what we're gonna do here is going forward, we're not gonna have to do that.
So
That's-
to Doug's point, the question that this board is gonna have when budget season comes is it worth going with the tax cap and getting that extra $20,000, or is it worth the messaging of we are not raising taxes, period? Or is it worth we're gonna lower
The
it?
minimum message is this is money you'd have to pay.
Yep.
It won't be in the budget next
Right.
year. But people are gonna expect, if I'm getting taxed the same amount, I'm getting taxed all the time, I'm paying the same fees, what you do with the money?
And
And
by
I
the
can
way,
look around and see.
in 4 months, we will have our December newsletter that goes out, and we'll be able to detail all of this.
The
And that's-
messaging's important. It
very
relates,
important.
it relates to money, you said it best, it relates to money you would have to pay anyway.
And it's not just messaging; it's educating as well. Like
Well,
messaging
messaging
feels
does
kind of
educate.
like dirty because it's
Like,
like I
a
want to
big-
say
like
a certain
maybe
way.
video would be
We're
more
explaining.
impact-
Yes.
impactful
Well, who's
than
gonna
that.
watch the
Yes.
video? Who's
Come
gonna watch a
on.
video?
We can hire a minister
I
of
mean-
Who doesn't want to
propaganda.
sit around and watch
Come
a
on,
ball
Mr.
play
Holland,
gap for
don't-
15
No,
minutes?
who's gonna watch a
What-
video,
what
in all
is better?
seriousness? Who's
We're
gonna
gonna
watch
spend
a
money
video?
getting a
I mean-
professional actor to do it.
Newsletter and video.
A minister
I
of
wouldn't watch a
propaganda.
video.
I like
To
it.
read for 15
Because you
It
don't know.
is. It is.
No.
So we'll
Yep.
do
If I,
both.
if I have to,
Yes,
if I
would be
if I-
very happy to do
if I
both.
wanted to
Okay.
understand something that was going on in the village,
I will not.
I could either
We
read
have
it in
video,
a
and
newsletter,
Jim will
or I could
not.
watch the video.
Where
If
are
I
you
hate-
going, okay, where are you gonna watch the video?
Online.
We'll do both.
Lots of people watch videos.
On the interweb.
Everything.
You're
On the
much
new
more less
website
than-
that
And
we're
lots of
gonna
people
have.
don't.
Oh, I know that.
That's why we do it both
That's
ways.
why we have the
Just
newsletter,
both.
and that's why we have an online presence.
Yeah, why
People
not?
need to feel that it benefits them and they're
Yes.
just not spending money, and they're spending the same tax dollars and
Yes.
increases that they always get, and what the hell they do?
Here is a dump truck. Here is why. It's 25 years old. Here's my hand going through the rough spot. Here is what it would cost if we budgeted it. Here's how much
And we
we'd
would
have to
have to budget it, we
increase
would
your
have to budget
yes.
something.
We would have to increase the tax 5%
Yes.
The
to
problem with
pay
that,
for
right,
this.
because the problem with that, like what Rob's talking about, is that over the years, we've done no increase
I
or
know.
tried to lower, and then you end up with that snapback, eventually it's gonna go down, because the cost of
It's
everything
gonna
goes
catch
up,
up
the
to
cost
you.
to buy a new police car is $90,000 now, but years ago when I first started, it was $20,000.
But we-
So eventually that's gonna go up, so we're gonna buy a car, and then down the road, if, you know, it's just, if you go with a lower budget, even though it's only $20,000, eventually you're gonna have to go above that tax cap to make up the
Every
difference.
5
You can't
years,
go
replace a
zero
vehicle.
And then have to make the difference up, because the cost of everything is going up every year.
Well, we should be budgeting depreciation costs and having capital reserves, like some other municipalities.
Right, but if you do that, you're not gonna be
Well,
hitting.
I don't know, I wanna see the numbers of what
Every
we've done in the
depart-
last 3 years.
Every department.
I've only been on the board a short period of time, and I keep saying,
I-
we had ARPA bailing us out,
Right.
so we keep
Right,
getting
well,
these
and ARPA
one-time
bails now
expenses.
for 1 year though, Doug, 2 years
So
at the
we
most,
spent a
2
lot of
years.
money.
It was a lot.
What, 350,000?
Yeah, that's a lot
Right?
of money.
Well, it is, but it isn't. It
Thank
won't,
God
it
for
only,
the
it'll buy you 3/4 of a dump truck, or a dump truck, right? I mean,
I'm one saying we should be aimed at reducing taxes, and this money is gonna help reduce taxes. Not just that we're just spending it frivolously.
no, I understand that concept, but at the same time, if we don't if we're talking about building a reserve.
It's a budgeting.
Right.
We
Right,
gotta
but
budget.
budgeting, but the budget, you're right, so what do you, so we're gonna reduce the budget we have, we're not gonna reduce the budget, we're just gonna allocate it differently, is what you're saying. Because you're not gonna have any more money to work
I'm
with.
saying this is the time to have a 3-year, we're taking $1 million, we don't know what the next budget, board will do,
So
the one
it's
after
a
that.
3-year plan.
We can say, here's a
Over a
3-year
million.
plan,
Over a million.
here's how it benefits residents, and it should have the impact on the budget.
But I
Maybe
know,
we
understand it
could turn around
should,
and
but
say
it's
it
not
would've
going
been-
to.
It would have been 5%, but we reduced
So,
it to 2%.
listen, you
That's all I'm
guys-
saying.
I agree with both of your points, and what I'm to Bobby's point. If we decide to say not increase taxes over 5 years, that means at the end of the 5th year we could have been having 20,000 increments. And that means
Whatever,
we're not
Instead of
whatever
an
equates to.
8%
So we're
increase.
not saving
But
that,
to
yeah.
Doug's point, we have never, as a village, had the energy and focus to be able to think about long-term.
Oh,
plans and
I
goals.
agree.
This forces that. This-
It
I agree.
absolutely does. And
Right.
all of the stuff that we have done long-term has been a huge benefit to us planning, just in the immediate. So 3-5 years down the road, this is gonna be huge.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to it, Doug, I wanna see the numbers and see it work, and that's,
Just
you know,
just to put it in like a complete number game, if you've got a $3 million grant given to you and you lower the taxes $3 million, you're not saving anything, you're paying that money anyway. And next year you gotta make up that 3 million plus the increase in
Well, I'm not
costs.
necessarily
Not
lowering
3
taxes 3
million,
million.
but like
No,
say it's
that's what I'm saying. It's still
20,000.
the same idea.
Yeah, yeah.
What you're spending this year and what you're lowering taxes for, next year you're going to have to make up that difference again.
It's like
And
two
it's
two
gonna
new
get a snapback
vehicles.
higher, you're gonna end up going, you're gonna have to go above the tax cap or you're gonna go higher.
And then you
So
get
the-
penalized.
It's
you're
like
gonna
the
get
it's like the
penalized.
water
And then you're
bills.
gonna
So
get, you know,
We
even
have
more,
to get
it's-
to responsible governing, which is responsible planning over time.
And
We
budget,
haven't
and
been
that
able
means
to do that.
capital reserves,
budget.
and then you message or educate people
Yep.
about it.
Absolutely.
But I'm uncomfortable saying, well, we're always gonna have an operating budget as high as we could get it.
oh,
and say
no, I'm
other
not
than
saying that, no.
But
No,
it's a matter of just looking at the numbers and
Yeah.
what they come
Well,
out
I
to,
guess
and
the way-
then making that decision.
That's right.
Okay, we need a little bit extra here.
Well, the
We're
number-
gonna- we're gonna do 1% instead of the 2 max that we can have.
I
You know,
think the
something-
aspirational
Right, the
thing.
we could do the lowest.
Right, we don't have
And then
to-
say
we
why.
don't necessarily
We would have
have
had
do
to
that too. Right, right.
Raise it
but we
6%.
can- right.
Yeah.
But people gotta
Which
understand
is kind
too,
of the same
this,
concept.
this settlement,
Bobby, then
Right.
yeah, this settlement is not the settlement for the water with Saint Gobain, who contaminate our water. This
Right.
is a settlement over and above from
Yeah.
the
Three
federal class action laws. I mean, and I understand the concept, but hopefully we're gonna get something from Saint Gobain that we can put a dent in those things. That's my goal, hope is that we can pay off some of these
This
things.
frees up a lot of the money that
Right.
we can, yeah.
You know, I know, I wish we could say, yeah, we could show that with this $3 million or $1 million a year, we're gonna pay off one of these bonds, but it's not gonna happen, right? We clearly can see
Dan
that.
and then Doug.
I just, just aspirationally speaking, to Doug's point, we should have a reserve fund, so we know what the depreciation is on vehicles, right? And I think that's something we really need to shoot for going forward. As I said before, I don't know, you know, I know the ambulance industry, that's my thing. All of them have funds set aside. They know that like an ambulance is 200,000, whatever. They know that.
Oh, we should.
Not all of them, but they should.
No.
Some are funded by the town.
I can tell you an ambulance is about 180,000 unless you want to buy the absolute top of the line Horton vehicle and then a wildly unnecessary $300,000 expense, which I won't go into. But yeah, but anyway,
There's a lot that goes in.
most
You can just buy
but you know,
I know
you
the same.
buy the ambulance.
The damn ambulance.
And then you rechassis them
Having
too,
had
which is
to
about
drive
$90,000
both
to
of the
rechassis them.
Wow.
that-
But anyway, most
black
of them have
one,
funds set aside. They know the
last couple
depreciation,
weeks,
and
um,
the funds are
needs
set up to draw in enough money every year. So when it comes time to buy or rechassis a new vehicle, some of those
There's quite a
boxes
difference
on those ambulances are 20 years older. They just rechassis them. It's like $90,000 to rechassis one now. You know, and I think that's what we should be looking at least with our very expensive vehicles, like
Maintenance.
dump trucks.
This budget season is gonna be totally different than the previous, and just
Yeah.
gonna keep it going.
I mean, even if we set aside $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, and we're able to pay off half of it every time we need to replace a vehicle, we'd
And
be in
that's for
better.
all departments.
I
Rotated around.
I hate the idea of playing whack-a-mole, you know?
But that's what it is. It's not whack-a-mole. It's your.
No, what I mean by whack-a-mole is you're trying to like find, like, oh god, this truck is failing, where are we gonna find money? Instead of just drawing it out of a fund that you.
Every department has money that we put aside in the budget to replace vehicles.
That's right.
That's
That's
what we
responsible
need
things
to
you
do.
do.
That's what it should be.
If
the
that's
model we need
it.
to
Not
get
like, oh
to.
look, we have 5 vehicles in one department that are from 2009.
And we
What are we,
get to
crazy?
use this money to help us
Yes.
get past the whack-a-mole stage
Yes.
into the planning stage.
Yes.
Doug, did you wanna add anything?
The taxpayer perception issue we have, and Dan's been at the forefront of defending some of this,
On
is
Facebook? Good
people
job.
still think that the village got the money from the other.
No, I don't.
Oh, I know
This
this.
time, that is not the case.
He must be speaking about Facebook.
Because we
Yeah.
can't,
Yes.
we can't hide behind that anymore.
God.
And the accountability's here, so I think if we frame it as being fiscally responsible for now and for the next 3 years, and this is money taxpayers would have to pay for anyway, whatever that amount comes from, and it will impact on it will at least decrease the increase.
Right.
It would reduce the increase of their taxes if we don't do that.
And we can also talk about how it's a longer term plan, it's not like just this budget or the next budget. That the planning process, it starts us in a place where we can get to someplace
So-
sooner.
Something I wanted to bring up today's meeting and why I had Rob pull up this spreadsheet of what the bonds are was one, so people could see how high the bonds really are and how little
Is there a total, Rob, at the end?
we are getting.
Yes.
Oh, right there,
We could pay
15.
off some of the bonds.
So, yes,
None
it
of
could
these are
pay.
bonded, these
However-
are all budgeted for.
Yes,
Look at
but
their,
this is the other point I
maturities.
wanted to make. While yes, we wouldn't necessarily put a dent into the bond portion of things, we could pay off all of those small ones.
lower
Yes.
one.
Which
I thought that
then,
too.
if you add in
Uh-huh.
those numbers that we pay per year on the side,
Comes
so
out of our budget.
22, 21, 85, you add all those together,
It's a little over a
that's
million.
an extra funds every
a little
year
over a
that we
million.
now have
That's super responsible of you.
added. So
I
now
knew
you
there was a
have
reason
those
behind
funds
He's so
plus
so responsible.
1.5 together every year now to help budget. Or, well, sorry, not 1.5. 1.5 is the essentially one-time
So-
expenses that we are
We
gonna
paid off
have.
debt.
So
I like
Have we
that.
had-
I do
yeah,
like
that works.
Okay, nobody will argue that.
No?
I have a dumb question, are we, we're talking about using the whole million for this stuff?
No,
For
we're
not
instance.
necessarily.
no,
We haven't
the
made
million
those
is on the table for us to
Okay,
decide
cause I
what to do
sent you
with.
guys an email that I responded to an
So
email that had
those-
some other things on it. I just don't want it to get forgotten.
That's $1,077,000 right there.
So that would give us a
These
million.
here?
Those,
So-
the four that Brett recommended, yeah.
The four right
The
there.
five, I'm sorry, right? The 276, the 280, 161, 250, 109 is $1,077,083.
Well, that's better than $20,000.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
And then, can you
Kid's a
add up the?
I like
year?
that a lot.
Yep, yep.
And if
Because
you,
you can show,
How much do we
it
pay
shows
on
them
those
that you're not
bonds?
having to,
That
that
much.
You're paying
definitely,
off debt.
yeah,
I think
no,
everybody
yeah.
understands that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
all
and
the
if you-
taxpayers would be like, okay, cool.
So,
if you add up all
I mean,
those
I
things,
would.
it pays
So,
for an
per-
employee, an extra employee in
so
the highway
guys,
garage or whatever.
guys, per year, now
Or
you're
whatever.
looking at an extra
No, those five
72,
payments.
This
almost
money.
73
21, 8.5,
per
13,
year
It
to
pays for an employee.
Oh,
Set
either
aside.
set aside or
Oh,
use
you're
in the
talking what we're
budget
paying for.
to
Yeah,
help
yeah, yeah.
fix that gap
Probably equal to an annual cost of an
issue,
employee.
that tax issue that we were talking about.
44,
If we paid off
52,
those five,
65,
yes, it doesn't save the
70,
taxpayer on the bond
73,000.
portion of things, but it would ultimately put almost 73 grand back into the
Our
village
budget.
budget.
I-
$73,000.
Alright, I love you putting that together, thank you. Our next step needs to be, you guys need to have a hold of all of these numbers. You need to have a hold of the spreadsheet that I've worked on. And in our September regular meeting, we can decide on prioritizing paying off a couple of these versus greenlighting certain priority 1s, 2s, 3s. We can have those discussions and put together a plan.
That
In
sounds
the
good.
meantime, knowing all of this, going back to the Monument Park proposal, are we okay knowing the numbers now to commit $65,000 of the 1 million to move
Okay.
forward on that project?
I'm okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll make the
Then, okay.
resolution.
So
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to authorize
motion,
the
I'm
mayor
sorry.
to execute the agreement with SLR Consulting for the 15% creation of the Monument Park location at a maximum cost of whatever it was, 68,000, whatever. So Bobby has made the motion.
I'll second it.
Doug has made the second. Further discussion on that?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries, great. And separately, we have the same proposal, well, the proposal for the same thing. This is from Sterling Environmental to work together with them at a maximum cost of, I think it's $7,000. Where's the mouse?
It was 7?
Yes. Within $5,000 and $7,000 range.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the mayor to execute this agreement with Sterling Environmental for maximum cost of $7,000 for this Oak Mitsui Monument Park.
I'll move.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you. I'll give it to Deb because she raised
Oh,
her hand
okay.
way
I'm
before
sorry.
you spoke because you're slow.
Hey, thank you, Bobby.
I'm sorry.
Any
I was looking
further,
at,
any further
I
discussion?
was looking at my page.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Alright, carries unanimously.
Brett, that's a great idea, just so you know. That's an awesome idea.
I'm voting for you next time.
What's that?
His idea, Brett's idea.
Oh,
That's
to pay
awesome.
off debt, it's
Absolutely.
great.
I would feel so much
so,
better
at
about
this-
that, showing that we paid this
Yep.
off.
We don't even, hey guys, by the way, that list there doesn't even include, I think, the 500,000 to LB,
Fitzgerald.
No.
FBM,
Yeah, yeah.
what is it? FM?
Oh,
Fitzgerald Morris Baker for it, FMB.
I have different
FMBS.
initials for it, but
I'm
PCS stands for
that is
something
I
else.
can't say
it
that.
does, yeah, it totally stands for
Alright,
something else.
so knowing that, I think we've gone through everything here we need to. Unless you guys have anything else you want to discuss, I'd like to move into get a motion to move into executive session to discuss a public safety / law enforcement matter.
Okay, I also
With no
just want-
business to be done after.
Can
I
we,
just
can
wanna
we
say
wait
one-
till Bernie leaves the room before we decide to fire him?
I just wanted to say, just since we're talking about
Before we
that-
do this?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't done the motion yet. Deb and then. Do you want her to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Just quick, so Monument Park project, you're gonna move forward as a village to work on, like, what does that look like?
The
Right.
engineering.
Engineering
Right.
study.
But it is
engineering.
coming off the New York Forward proposal.
No.
No, that New York Ford proposal is still gonna be there. This 65,000 that we just,
Okay.
whatever, is a part of the overall product as our percentage of match. So it's $1 million and we're putting $65,000, we're matching at 6.5%.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was one of those things that
No.
came down the road.
No, we have already included the original proposal, which was more in. I'll just modify that number, so it'll be a lower percentage
Right,
match.
that we're asking.
But the same, we're still putting the same money out there.
Okay.
And it's possible that that number is too high. We'll know more in 3 to 4 months when the plan is fully vetted out.
And I'm just gonna repeat what I think I heard you say earlier, which is that terms of New York Forward, you're gonna ask the powers that be, or tell them that you only want one or the other, the municipal building or the Murphy building,
100%.
to be considered for funding.
Yeah.
not
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we're
do
not doing
not
that.
want
No,
both.
no.
Right, we're all in agreement, we're not
Well,
doing
might
that.
be
Don't
ruled
put
out
bathrooms
anyway.
in.
The only change to that is the municipal building has a small improvement for the front, which is gonna be there regardless.
That
It's
includes
to
the
redo the
ramp,
ramp, so-
ADA ramp, right, Rob,
Yes.
and
Yep,
the
and the
bathrooms.
That's
bathrooms.
right.
But that
expansion.
has been the bottom line from the beginning, excluding that, which we want in either situation.
So it's the other
either
end of the
expansion
building.
Or the Murphy, it's not both.
Yeah, the big one
Yes.
is Woodbrook is gonna be removed, Woodbrook would be.
The Woodbrook is out, the plan, we've removed it completely, Hall Street, Spring Street, completely out.
Right.
Alright, so
So
I
let
need
me say what
someone,
I was gonna say.
yes, thank you.
I just wanna just say
Oh,
it,
that's stretch.
because I want it to be out loud. Somehow, some way, some money, I don't care where we get it. We need to do a comprehensive plan and fix our zoning code and get that all online, and that's, everything else we're doing is just useless if we don't do that too.
I agree, can you reach out to a couple consulting firms who we know have done good ones?
Mhm.
I have a couple that we shouldn't reach out to that I'll tell you when
Yep,
we're not recording a
Yep,
meeting.
names, I'll do it, I'll do it.
And if you can get us a proposal, we can factor into these numbers that we're talking about, because I do think that's an important thing that we can't
Definitely is.
have off the radar,
Okay.
that needs to be part of it.
Nope.
Yeah, otherwise,
And again, going back to pre-PFOA, look at all the work that Monahan and Borge did to get that stuff moving, and as soon as PFOA happened, it just stopped. Like, just dead
yeah, I
stop.
can talk to Dave and talk to him a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, alright, I need someone to make the motion for executive session, Deb,
Second.
second, Bobby, further discussion?
Third, fourth, fifth.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Great, we are moving into an executive
Only if you
session
guarantee it's
at
5 minutes.
8:46 PM.